I'm finally happy that it's out, okay? I am suing Justin Badoni and the Wayfair company for $45 million. Actually, it should be more because I have lost hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? Labeling me the mean girl of Hollywood has cost me everything. And I still don't understand what is it that I did was so mean. He had his own screening in a basement with his family, a private screening. How is that me being a mean girl? Okay. And another thing, I don't understand how it was wrong of me of promoting my hair product and my alcohol line while promoting the movie. You know, I lost millions also doing that. I couldn't even bring out my fashion line. Look at this, my fashion line during the promotion of the movie. I mean, Ryan and I, where's Ryan? We are the Hollywood it couple. So everything we want, we should get. That's the way it works. So yeah, it's their own fault.
Good morning, citizens. That was Blake Lively herself, or a parody of Blake Lively. That's Yvonne Cruz. We featured her on the show before. You guys give her a follow. She's excellent in that parody. I thought we'd start off with, we're going to start and end with parody today. So it's a little surprise for you at the end from our very own DFJ, if you haven't seen it already. But it's going to be a long show, so you guys just settle in. If you can't watch all of it in one sitting, you can always come back and finish it. I am going to eventually split it into regular videos for each trial. We are going to be covering 3 different trials and the docket rundown. We only have a show once a week, and so much stuff happened last week. So good morning, everyone. It's Monday, May 4th. It's the Great Unsealing 2.0 is the name of the episode. Everybody Lies, a tale of 3 trials. Lively, Wilson, and David. 3 courtrooms, 1 morning. And I did this really cheeky thumbnail. You guys know I love to, have fun with the thumbnails. And it's Maury. Obviously, it's all Andy Warhol with our new Celebrity Dockets theme. It says the evidence determined that it's a lie. We couldn't have Maury here himself, but we do have all the receipts from the citizens. It was the David trial had the pre-preliminary hearing where they postponed the preliminary hearing. So we're going to hear all about the receipts that came out with that and how Blair Burks, he's definitely not guilty, may turn out to be a lie. Again, I have a little disclaimer down here. Everybody Lies refers to the available public evidence reviewed to date and reflects opinions of private citizens only. Nothing in this episode is a legal finding, court verdict, or determination of guilt. Just commentary and analysis of public filings, and it is not legal advice. Let me put myself in mini mode so you guys can go ahead and enjoy the show. Also, we were over there in Australia all last week. If you guys follow me over on X, I was live tweeting it. A lot of y'all just could not stay awake. It went on, it started about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then went all the way to 2 a.m. Eastern time. With a lunch break in between, I believe, between like 9 and 11 or like 10 and 11. It was like an hour and a half lunch break, I think. But basically, I would just set an alarm and then re-wake up. I'd get a little bit of sleep, and then I'd re-wake up when they came back for lunch. But I did watch all last week. It was so spicy. So we have that for you guys today. And obviously, the Great Unsealing 2.0, Miss Blake Lively herself, all the tea that came out in these unsealings. So get ready for the show. I hope you guys are all comfy. Good morning to all of our members. Bizio is here. What's up? Wrathful, Hens. We have a really cool show for you guys tonight. Thank you guys for being a member. Laura. Who else do we have here? I think that's it for members. We also have our wonderful mod, DFJ. Thank you for joining us. And, hopefully we get a couple more members in here for the show. Like I said, it's going to be kind of a long one, so settle in. We're going to go over the morning docket this morning. We have Lively versus Wayfair. We're going to be doing a summary of the pretrial hearing, the Great Unsealing, and the citizens' reaction as we head into the May 18th trial. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Daubert hearing on Friday, May 8th. It was actually switched. It was supposed to be tomorrow, and it got rescheduled. We're going to get into the People versus David. We'll dive into the defense strategy. I know DFJ jokes with me that Blair Burke should hire me. So we're going to get into all of that, as well as personality theory. And then the preliminary trial was postponed to May 26th. The prosecution brief was unsealed, and then we're going to get into the alleged shopping list inside that preliminary brief, which was the Amazon shopping list. Okay, so we're going to get into McKinnis versus, as we continue, McKinnis versus Wilson. The Wilson trial testimony comes to an end in Sydney Federal Court of Australia. I have a cool surprise for you guys. I found the docket for Australia, and it's going to be so fun for creators like Abe who are following it. I don't know who else is covering the Rebel stuff, but guys, it's got all the tea. So if you missed the trial, it's got all the text messages, everything. So for people who want to dive into the Ari stuff, like who are following Jones and all that, there's going to be a lot of tea in there because obviously, Brian Friedman's name came up. Melissa Nathan's name came up. Katie Case's name came up. So I have not looked at it. I just found it late last night, and I added it to the docket. But it'll be here in the show notes. And you guys know that if you can't watch the show for whatever reason, these show notes, which is what I'm displaying for the show, without comments, my commentary or the chat is available on the main page. You guys can just go read the episode notes. If you don't have time to watch it all, if you prefer to read, I know I prefer to read. I've lately been copy and pasting like transcripts from the videos and then just reading it because I just read faster. And I have premium, I have 4 times speed, and it's still not fast enough for me. So for those that just like to read or just want to catch up on the notes, the whole show will be on the main page. Today, we're also going to premiere the docket rundown, which is basically just a rundown of all the cases that are currently relevant in the docket. Obviously, we're following these 3, which are the big 3 cases. But there's also been some movement on the Britney case. She had an Instagram return where she hinted at some tea. So we're going to look into that. And her wet DUI arraignment is this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So after our show, we'll probably update you on that either on the website or on X if you follow me on X, or you guys can wait until next Monday on the show where we'll recap what happened. There was movement on the Kim K and Kris Jenner trial. The $7 million defamation suit finally got a trial date for March 2028, and Ray J got kicked to arbitration. So we're going to get into all that and what the dates for that are. Stefon Diggs from the Patriots has a criminal trial that opens today, and it's an employment criminal trial saying that he allegedly choked his chef. So we're going to get into all that tea, as well as the Kanye lawsuit. He's collecting lawsuits like Thanos. He's got another one. So we're going to add that to the docket as well as go over what that is. Spencer Pratt's fire lawsuit. I don't know if a lot of you guys know that it went into discovery in February. So we're going to watch that video that he made on how he had to wait a whole year because there was a stay, and how, they're now in discovery, as well as we're going to get into his mayoral race. I know Daily Dose of Donna was with him and is someone who has, talked great about Spencer, as well as Zach Peter. But then he's also been endorsed by some other names, Joe Rogan, Audrina Partridge, who was a cast member on The Hills, and Jeannie Buss from the Lakers as well. So we're going to get into all that. Kylie has a lawsuit. I don't know if you guys know about the first one. I tweeted it out, I think, on X, and we added it to the docket. But then she had a second one. So we're going to get into all that. 50 Cent as well just got a new lawsuit. And then we're going to get into Drake. He talks a little bit about media strategy, and it goes hand in hand with the latest Spotify case that got dismissed. If you guys saw on the Celebrity Dockets, I have some industry-related cases, not necessarily celebrities, but there was a class action lawsuit against Spotify, and the Texas Attorney General had also entered the chat recently, like last week. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with that. I haven't found out what happens with the Attorney General, but it seems like the case has been dismissed. And then you guys know that we have the recess segment where we take a little break. We're going to catch up on the latest films that are dropping in May, which ones are my favorite, and what you can watch when the court takes a break. So a lot to go over. We're going to start today with the lead of Lively versus Wayfair as we head into trial. We're going to go into the summary of the pretrial hearing, the great unsealing, and the citizens' reaction as we head into the trial. As you guys know, their lawyers were in a Manhattan courtroom on April 28th, And then the docket dropped wide open the days after. The internet has been doing the rest of the legwork. And that's what I went and found for you guys, the very best that's out there. I know it's a lot. I wish I could have included it all in one show because I'm pretty sure I'm probably missing a lot of stuff. But I just took, whatever was the best of the best that I saw to include here on the show today. But there's obviously a lot more out there. Everybody was busy this week. Again, all the creators, support your creators because they were very, very busy this week putting out content on what had happened. The May 18th trial is in 14 days, so 2 weeks exactly. We had inner city press threading the whole thing. Matthew Lee Russell, who's the author of Hollywood Hearsay, great audiobook. If you guys don't have it, I picked it up very early on the case. It's pretty much, it's really funny. He starts off with some like poetry. You guys know he writes songs and stuff too. And in this tweet right here, it's the Hollywood Hearsay song by it's really cool. I love it. He was doing songs before we started doing Suno. He does it on his guitar. So go check that out. Great book. And yeah, he basically tweeted out the whole trial. If you guys click on this on the show notes, if you guys see it on the website, you guys can go and read the whole thread. I'm not going to read through the thread because I think most of you guys here have already, looked at the thread, read the thread. There's been other channels who've gone over the thread. But if in case you haven't, you can definitely go to the show notes. They're available right now on celebritydockets.com on the main page. It's right at the top. And you guys can click there and go read the thread if you'd like. But he's very thorough. He did kind of have to leave at one point to cover a different trial. So there's a small gap in it. But he does such a great job. And he's going to be, boots on the ground covering it this Thursday as well. Live tweeting. So you guys go check him out, give him a follow, turn your notifications on. He's going to be crucial during this, the trial, because obviously everyone's in the courtroom. He's the only one allowed to tweet from inside the courtroom, and everything else is like, you have to wait until after they get out, make videos and all that stuff. So he's like our very first eyeballs into the case, since there's no cameras in there. So I wanted to start off with a shout out to MK True Crime. It's my new favorite channel. And it's produced by Phil Holloway, which, by the way, he follows me on X, which I thought was really cool. And I saw the channel from when it was like a baby last year when they first started MK True Crime. It's an offshoot of the Megyn Kelly show. And it's only for like true crime trials and things like that. But I guess now they're delving into like regular celebrity lawsuits as well, with this new show that they have. And they had Brian Friedman on. But you can find it. The channel is at MK True Crime on YouTube, as well as they're the same, I think, on X and TikTok. But that's the channel. But the new show is called In the Well. I'm going to play this quick segment here with Brian Friedman. Let me pause it. Sorry, because I didn't realize it was going to self-start. But basically, Brian Friedman is going to sum up a little bit of what the trial was about in his own words. I thought, why not hear it from Brian Friedman himself?
And talked about the damages. One of the things that Ms. Lively was arguing for were actually, believe it or not, damages for her loss of damages for the sequel, that she didn't get to participate in the sequel on the movie. And Mr. Colgrad did a great job and was terrific. And really,
I have a question about that. What the lost damages on a movie that wasn't made would seem to me to be the most speculative type of damages that would almost be garbage. So is that the argument? What was the argument?
Well, some of the argument was, obviously that Wayfair had the rights to the movie, so it was ultimately their decision to whether to make the sequel or not, and there was no, there was no, decision made, and possibly the sequel could never be made. That certainly, who was going to be in the sequel or not, and who was going to be participating and at what level, even if one was made, was some decision that wasn't even made yet. And in fact, Sony, who was a co-financier of the movie, Mr. Colgrad reported in court that Sony had referred to Blake Lively as a terrorist, and so there was no guarantee that Sony would want Blake Lively to be involved in the sequel. When you're referring to someone as a terrorist.
So that was Brian Friedman kind of summing it up there. That was one of the big tidbits that came out, was that the nerve, and I think I even tweeted like, "What? You put the man in the basement? You put the rights owner in the basement, and then you thought there was still going to be a sequel?" Like, it was so surprising to everybody. We were just like taken aback, and obviously, the lawyers argued, back about the Sony text where they're they were calling her a terrorist pretty much. And so hopefully they made some good arguments there. But if you guys wanted to check out the full show, it had so many tidbits. Brian Friedman he ate in it. Like, I loved him as a guest on there. So the show is called In the Well. It's the pilot episode. It's Mark Garagos and Matt Murphy, who are the two lawyers from opposite sides of every California courtroom until finally they've been on the same side of one, which is the show. The pilot is a deep one. Brian Friedman joined them as a guest for the Blake Baldoni segment, and they also got into all the David tea. So I'm going to kind of summarize what all was in it. As far as the David segment, they had the latest horrifying revelations in the David case, the damning digital evidence, which is chainsaws, the Amazon orders, everything that was connecting Burke to the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And we're going to get into some of it too, but they get into it from a lawyer's standpoint, which is really interesting. Who may have snitched on David, and will this ultimately be a death penalty case? That whole conversation, it was great. Blake Baldoni segment with Brian Friedman talked about the outrageous damages that Blake is claiming. That was another big tidbit that came out of the hearing. Everybody was like, how did she get to these numbers with the damages? Like, she said that there was supposed to be a sequel and she was supposed to get money from that, but and one of the evidence that her lawyers used as evidence was that, remember when Justin Baldoni said that Blake should direct it at the premiere? But like, he was basically kind of like just being nice there. He didn't really mean. And that was before he got put in the basement, because remember, right after that interview, he gets swept away and is like, you got to wait in the basement. And I remember him saying that like his family was still like coming in like to the red carpet and stuff. Like, he just got rushed off. Like, he was not expecting it, because they're like, you need to go, Blake's coming. And so I don't know if he knew beforehand that he was going to be in the basement, or if he just knew that they were going to have separate times on the red carpet, but he didn't know it was going to be that fast. So I'm like, that comment was made before he was taking pictures next to water crates. And nobody thought that there would be a movie after she filed the lawsuit. Like, that's just dumb. It also showed the old interview about Blake's mean streak, which is the Kirsty Flaw interview. And what I loved about when they showed that video, not only was Brian Friedman there to talk more at length about it, about how she's going to be like a main witness in the case, Kirsty, but they showed the extended clip. And I hadn't seen it in a long time, the extended clip. I had just seen like my little bump part. But it goes on and on where they ignore her, and they start talking about how like, you don't ask the men about the clothes, but you're asking us. And like, it's so horrific to watch that extended version. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, what? The witness who will take the stand, basically Kirsty, and is settlement possible before trial? So you guys go check it out. Go support them. It's my new favorite channel. Like, I can't stop watching. It's got a lot of true crime cases. And I messaged Phil because I'm hoping that in the well, these two lawyers cover the Larry Milletti trial that's coming up. This is a case of a man who was accused of unaliving his wife. She went into her home and never came out. And it's a nobody California case. They haven't found her or anything, but it's really interesting because he was putting like spells on her, using white noise machines on her. And then the moment that she like disappeared, he's saying she walked away from her family and stuff. But the moment that she disappeared, he stopped sending messages to the Etsy, spell people, spell witches, whatever. And it all stopped. So, they have a lot of like circumstantial stuff too in that case. And it'll be interesting. I know I talked to DFJ a little bit about possibly covering it if I make time. I know I'm super busy with Celebrity Dockets right now. But it's one of the cases that I covered a long time ago, or not covered, but followed a long time ago. And so I want to get into it, and hopefully me and DFJ can get the true crime partnership back together. And it'll be on May 11th. So next Monday will be the start of that trial. It's really, really cool. So yeah, in that episode, there was also the origin story of how Garagos and Murphy became friends, how they were from opposite sides of the California criminal court, and why they have made the show together, as well as talking about the OC legendary criminal defense attorney, Marshall Schulman. And they also talked about Doug Lyman's dad. I didn't know he was like a big deal. I think Arthur Lyman, they went into like the whole history of Doug. I mean, not Doug. Is Doug his brother? Which one is Judge Lyman? Judge Lyman, I forget what his name is, but basically Judge Lyman's dad from the Blake Lively case. I believe they said his name was Arthur, but they got into the whole lore of him. And I like Garagos. He kind of has like a halo effect on Harvey, because I don't like Harvey from TMZ that much. But when they had the Two Angry Man podcast, like by association, because I like Garagos so much, then I was like, oh, I'm cool on Harvey. You know, like I've watched Two Angry Man as a podcast. I find it interesting, but Harvey alone, I don't know about him. All right, so let's continue on with what else came out of the pretrial filings. During the hearing, the judge asked Wayfair if they were going to stipulate to the protected activity happened before the trial. Basically, now that it's just retaliation claims, one of the questions when it comes to retaliation is what was the protected activity, and did she reasonably believe that she was protected? So instead of it being an issue of facts at trial or anything like that, they basically stipulated that, yeah, there was protective activity. And it's not like them saying, oh, we did something or anything. They're just saying like there was protective activity, and we can move forward. And not actually Golden actually broke it down really well. And let me see if I can play a little bit here. I'm going to just play like a little bit of the ending here, but you guys should go and watch it. It's about 9 minutes, but she literally breaks down why a stipulation win isn't a win for Blake Lively. Wayfair's stipulation is explained simply here. And Pale Detective over on It Ends with Lawsuits also just has like the regular breakdown of like the written breakdown, time stamped of what everything is. But basically, Blake's case is in trouble because a lot of the witnesses that she probably intended to portray, like Jenny Slate and all them, aren't going to really be relevant because they've already stipulated that there was protective activity. So we're just going to play a little portion here, the little last minute, and hear what NAG has to say.
I mean, give us a shot, right? Ref, let us at least try. Maybe we can't, but we should at least have the option to try. Don't count us out before we've had a shot at scoring those 20 points. But then the team says, you know what, actually, you can have the 20 points. And when they say you can have the 20 points, the issue of whether that team can earn the 20 points no longer matters, because no matter how the game is played, they won't have to earn them. They're already going to have them from the minute the buzzer goes off. So by giving them the 20 points, the team has taken away their argument that they need to be able to try to prove that they can score 20 points. Because the 20 points don't need to be made. They're going to be given. That's about as close as I can get. I hope it helps.
So I hope that helped you guys kind of understand it a little bit better too. It's basically like a lot of the Blake Lively people were spinning it as like a win for Blake, saying, look, they're admitting that they did something, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it even says in the actual docket, you can find it on Court Listener. It says that it's just for trial purposes and everything. So I'm glad that she was able to kind of like break it down in like that, just layman's kind of term, because I didn't really understand it at first. And then once I watched her video, I was like, okay, I get it. So they're basically just going to be like, yes, this is the protected activity. And it basically kind of throws off her whole case of wanting to bring in all this stuff that she thought, the door was going to be open to bring in. And now they kind of shut the door on that. So I'm going to continue. I am saving a couple comments as I go here, you guys, but we're going to save them here for the end because, like I said, we have a really long show. But it's super juicy. I was like, there's nothing that I can take off. I was like, this show is long, but I'm like, even if I have to split it up into videos later, or if people have to come back and watch it, I'm like, I gotta say what I need to say. So thank you guys for sticking by. If you guys watch to the end, but anyways, so the Daubert hearing. No, wait, somebody said it's like Dow Jones, Daubert, because that's how I know how to pronounce it. Because someone's like, it's like Dow Jones. On the calendar, Friday, May 8th. Like I said, it was supposed to be tomorrow, but they rescheduled it. It's the joint Daubert. Yeah, I keep like messing that up. Reschedule, request granted. Admissibility of expert testimony is now teed up for Friday, May 8th, ahead of the May 18th trial. The damages experts, methodology challenges, and the lot. So basically, they're going to go all in on these experts. It's 1 hour per expert, and it's 3 experts. So that's 3 hours. And then 1 hour for cross for each expert. So I believe it's 6 hours. And then I think there's like some kind of rebuttal time. So I don't know. It's going to be an all day thing. It starts at 9 a.m. CJ may read ICP's live tweets from the Daubert hearing. So turn your notifications on. I don't know how busy I'm going to be on Friday or not. I've just been trying to stick to the Monday schedule. Now with the website to upkeep, I'm following 34 cases now. So I'm not quite sure. And then I have my in real life stuff. But it might be a little fun to read them. I know we'll probably have other content creators reading the live tweets, but I was like, I might delve into it. Who knows? Docket updates, I heard, is going to be in the courtroom for play-by-play and exhibit rulings. So I guess she's going back to New York. And I was going to get her on the show this morning. And you know what? I honestly didn't check my text messages to see if she messaged back. But either way, we're going to shout her out today. We're going to give her all her flowers, docket updates, because she's been doing tons of work. But yeah, so you guys, we'll get all the tea out of the courtroom. I know that she said that she might not stay the whole time because she has a flight in the afternoon at 4. So if it, goes all day until the courthouse closes, she won't be able to stay there the whole time, but she'll be there for the most, for the most part, the morning or whatever. And yeah, interestingly enough, it was funny because she's like, I almost missed my flight last time. She was getting a breakdown. She was giving a breakdown over on DFJ's channel and was close to missing her flight. So it was pretty funny. And we'll later on, before we close out the Blake Lively segment, give you guys, all the videos that she made, because she made some amazing videos and I included them here so you guys have easy access. So yeah, so that's the Daubert of it all. Let's take a little break from the courtroom, just super quick. We're going to go back into the Great Unsealing 2.0, but let's woosah and talk Blake Brown Beauty. Blake Brown Beauty tanks the brand fallout. So we're going to start with this really cool TikTok from Kashmir Chronicles, who broke the deep dive on the same weekend that the trial heated up. This is about the sales numbers. So let me go ahead and play this video for you.
Lost royalties, the damages. When this came out, or when it was unsealed, I was gobsmacked. She's claiming both lost profits for Blake Brown, but also lost royalties for herself. And the reason that this was so shocking to me is because I'm so curious, what did she do to try and, fight back against this smear campaign? She said she had worked on it for 7 years, developing it for 7 years, and it ended up becoming the biggest hair care launch in Target's history. 7 million in like 4 weeks. And then sales started plummeting. You started getting a lot of negative comments on, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But did Blake and Blake Brown do anything to turn the tide? They disabled comments for, something like a month. Okay. But there are other ways to deal with comments on social media. You can filter keywords, you can block, you can report. And I know that's difficult because it's all got to be manual, but filtering keywords can be beneficial. And even if you don't want to do that, why stop posting for a month when you had such a huge launch? The sales numbers were there. Why stop posting altogether on social media? I went to Blake's contract, and it looks like she is obligated contractually for years 1 through 5 to make a minimum of 6 social media posts. And I think that includes posting video, stories, things like that. And her first one was technically like a partner post with Blake Brown Beauty, but that was August 4th. Her personal post was also on August 4th. But if you look at that post, you had to scroll, I think 3 or 4 pictures into the carousel to get this image. And then it's not until September 28th when she posts again. So she's already lost all the momentum or potential momentum in leveraging her audience for Blake Brown Beauty and Target's biggest launch. And again, I know she was getting a lot of hate comments online, but you can look at this. The comments are off. 1.4 million likes, a bunch of, shares and reposts. And then December is kind of a repost from Women's Wear Daily. Another thing the next day, I think this was her own personal post, but nothing like pushing customers to the Blake Brown website, to Target, nothing pushing a purchase. And then she goes a whole 5 months until May 2025 before she makes another post, which was strange because she had done some promotional work for the Simple Favor movie. She was tagging her clothes, the jewelry, the person who does her hair and makeup. And she didn't tag Blake Brown. So if you're not using your products when you're promoting, that would have been the perfect time, right? I know she loves pushing her own products during promotion. Maybe she was told not to. I don't know. Another one for the new product. Great. And then she goes the whole summer not pushing any Blake Brown content, at least on her profile page. She could have been posting stories every day. I don't know. I don't follow her. There are no highlights for Blake Brown Beauty. There's, interestingly, only a highlight for Betty Buzz. She's also got service days on here, and which I think are her in-person event type things. Going back to her lost profits report, did she do enough to try and turn the tide for herself or for her investors, for Target? Or did she kind of leave them in the lurch and say, all this hate's coming at me, I'm just going to post my bare minimum, what I'm required to do in my contract, and we'll go from there. If she did that, I think she's got a lot of nerve, and that's a lot of audacity to try and claim this amount of profits and royalties. If Wayfair had launched this online manipulation campaign, you're not new to media. You've been doing this for 20 years. Why did you just let it happen, I guess? Did your lawyers tell you not to do anything? Did you fight for the brand that you have been working on for 7 years? That's why the lost profits was so interesting to me, because I don't know what she did, if anything, to try and mitigate all this negativity and hate. And I noticed here she has a morals clause. Maybe that came into play. I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. Because doesn't it make sense to say that the online campaign was so severe, it was so damaging, that I was working so hard to try and repair my image and my brand and help Target and my investors, but nothing was working?
Oh, I didn't realize I was muted, y'all. I didn't realize I was muted. Okay, so free Blake Brown. That was Kashmir Chronicles up here. Who I just recently started following. I see a lot of people who love her and her deep dives. So that deep dive was really cool. And you know how we say she always listens to us or whatever? I don't know if she watched that or what, but she made a pop-up over in Soho this weekend, Saturday, May 2nd, where she was giving out free samples, full sizes, tote bags for the first 500 people who came, I guess. It was Wild Nectar Santal Nourishing Duo, her pre-shampoo mask, all-in-wonder leave-in potion, and hair and body refresh mood, all in the giveaway bag. And it's so funny because I just watched a video, and I don't know who made it. I kind of want to say Abe, but maybe it wasn't Abe. It was someone over on TikTok. but they were basically doing like a deep dive of how she was including her products in like giveaway, like little mini, like one of them was called Pinch Me. It's like they send out free samples like in a box, and then Blake Brown's were in there, and it was a video about how Blake Brown wasn't. Oh, you know who it was? It was Katie Pope. It was Katie Pope, because I remember she was saying that she lives in LA and that it's still like she was saying something about how like the booze and stuff is still like in a like fancy liquor store near her house. But that she didn't see the Blake Brown beauty projects in like these fancy, hair shops or whatever. And she's the one that pointed out that she was starting to put these products in like these giveaway boxes or whatever. And so now she did this pop-up where she was giving stuff away. And we had same weekend, same numbers. After the pop-up came the receipts. TV movie addict caught the same downtrend that Kashmir Chronicles called. This is the same weekend, separate sources. So I'm going to go ahead and play this one. Not Blake Brown having a pop-up truck in NYC giving out free products. This is so sad. I don't want to get copyrighted because let me mute it. But this is a video where it had the truck and all that. Oh, is there no sound? Yeah, I don't think there was any sound on this video because I didn't want to get copyrighted, but oh, there was no sound on my okay, so someone's just catching up. That was my mod. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I was accidentally muted. So I had muted myself during the video because I was drinking coffee. So anyways, this is, look, she had all these bottles. So is it because she has overproduction? Like, what do you guys think it is? Yes, Katie Pope is adorable. I love her. So free products from Blake Brown at East 14th Street. So there was 2 pop-ups, one in the morning and one in the afternoon or something like that. But yeah, they were giving out tote bags and stuff. And the only influencer that we could find that was like promoting this or like making this like a cool deal, Average Socialite, which was so funny because I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get copyrighted. I'm going to mute it. But she put it to Taylor Swift's Canceled. I Like My Friends Canceled. But I wanted to point out that a brand with this kind of celebrity backing should have a feed full of partnership posts. Instead, on a deep search across the platform, this is the only one I found. One Instagram reel hawking Blake Brown beauty. That's the entire pipeline that resurfaced. There was nothing else. And I try to find like, Blake Brown beauty when I went into like the news stuff. And there's like really nothing, like, Kashmir said she's not like promoting it actively or doing anything with it. So let me go ahead and mute this real quick. Or I don't think we could watch it here. Let me open up this window. Hold on. And I'll mute it. Okay, here we go. So this is kind of another look at like all the bags and everything. But the reason why I wanted to pull up the Instagram, so there's the line. So people were going to get it for free. I don't know, if they knew, but look, boxes and boxes. There's the totes. I think this is just replaying the video. But let me see, where's the one comment? Okay. New York City pop-up gone wrong, and it was bad. I love a good New York City pop-up, but this one was a complete disaster. Let's start here. Communication was non-existent. Locations plus timing were confusing, especially for the Broadway session. Now, what actually happened? We were all lined up by Target on Broadway. Cool, organized waiting. Then the truck pulls up, and suddenly it's Hunger Games Soho edition. People running, pushing, screaming, chasing the truck like it was dropping gold. No line, no system, no security. Products were being tossed into boxes, some not even sealed properly. Bags, random, inconsistent, and messy. At one point, staff said, form a single line or we won't start. But let's be real, that was already impossible because people were literally told to move and chase the truck. It spilled into the street. Pushing, arguing, almost fighting. It felt unsafe, period. And that's the part that's not okay. This had so much potential, but the lack of structure ruined the entire experience. Blake Brown team, this needed clear communication, crowd control, security, actual organization. NYC pop-ups get crazy, we get it, but this was completely avoidable. Do better, seriously. So I don't know who was clamoring for these products, like maybe because they were free, they're just like, whatever. And maybe it was just people passing by that they're like, oh, free stuff. Everybody always wants something for free. But yeah, it seemed like, all kinds of people from all walks of life. I'm thinking these people were just walking down Broadway. Obviously, this is a busy street anyways, and if someone's saying like, hey, this is free stuff, I don't know what you guys think, but I thought that was really interesting, that comment. So let's keep going with, let's go back to this window, the show window. Like I said, all of this is on the show notes on celebritydockets.com. So if you guys, missed some of this or want to go click it and read it yourselves, or you guys want to go share it to your socials, just go to the Celebrity Dockets homepage and it's right at the top. You'll see episode notes. And so this also came up. So Blake Brown Beauty was actually challenging a trademark. You guys remember this from a long time ago? That it was it was Blake Brown Beauty. What was her? Oh, Blake Brown was it was just pure Blake Brown, no beauty. And so she had registered for the trademark, and then Blake had countered it and challenged it. So Family Hive LLC, which is who owns Blake Brown Beauty, challenged Blake Brown's LLC, or Blake Brown Beauty's LLC's trademark application before the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board. Okay, so that's the other one. So her shampoo is just Blake Brown, and this LLC was called Blake Brown Beauty. So she was trying to oppose that trademark. What just happened? Family Hive dropped the opposition. Entry 8 on the docket terminates the proceeding. What it means: the path clears for Blake Brown's mark to register without that fight. One less front for the brand to defend in a week where everything else got harder. So did she drop it because she didn't want no smoke? She's already dealing with this, but some people were saying that she has tons of lawyers, like she could have pursued it. Did she not want the mean girl persona going into trial, like for them to bring up, like, look, she's bullying the small creator? We have the lively docket over on Celebrity Dockets. If you scroll all the way down, we actually have that related Blake Brown trademark, and it's got updated, it's dropped, and you can from there go straight to the actual docket there, and you guys can see the withdrawal. You guys can see the actual document here on the left. It says, pursuant to 37 CFR, opposer Family Hive LLC, with applicant Kimberly Hamner's consent, hereby submits this consented motion to withdraw opposition without prejudice. And remember, they had wanted an extension of time that was actually granted, and they had, I believe, until May 26, because it's 60 days. So for March 26. So they had until the end of this month to file their opposition or their reply to the answer. And they decided to instead withdraw it. So if you guys want to go see it for yourselves, it's on the docket, and I showed you guys how to access that. So we'll continue over here on the show page. The Great Unsealing. Let's get back into it. They are calling this the Great Unsealing 2.0, because if you guys remember back in December, we had the Great Unsealing, which is where so many receipts came out. I remember how hectic it was. Shout out to, all the TikTok girls who were like literally delving into it day in and day out. We had, all our YouTubers over here, DFJ, myself, like everybody was just, not sleeping. We were like, oh, look at this, look what we found. So there was a ton of stuff in that one, and there's been way more receipts coming out in this one that we hadn't seen yet. It does not help Blake. Here's the running list of everything that just dropped on the public docket, into the public docket, crowdsourced and indexed and pinned by It Ends with lawsuits. So I don't know exactly which one of these have already been unsealed. I just gathered whatever was out on the net. I have not been able to go, piece by piece by piece. But this is everything that they created, this timetable of everything that should have been sealed or unsealed that was originally asked to be sealed. All kinds of exhibits, excerpts from the transcript of deposition of Jeffrey Kinrich, which I believe is an expert witness, transcript from the deposition of Vivian Baker, Shelly Ann Carroll. I haven't seen any of these excerpts yet, or I haven't seen any Colleen Hoover stuff either, but so this is basically what was supposed to be unsealed. And I have some of the tea that Citizens dropped, which that's why I called it Everybody Lies, because from the evidence, and again, there's a disclaimer at the beginning of the show, you guys, I should probably pin it too, that, this is just Citizens' opinions, that they, piece together the evidence and what's actually in depositions and things. And the math isn't mathing. So that's why the episode was called Everybody Lies. Correct copies of text messages, just all kinds of stuff. So if you guys want to be like nerd out, there's that link on the show docs. We'll go back here. You guys can just click here and you guys can go and compare and all that stuff. But I took the 3 best takes over on X, which I love. 3 sharp citizen takes on what just dropped side by side. Mandy, our very own Mandy Magnan, she was on our show before. Y'all know her. She does a lot of like movie stuff and she's an actress. So it was really fun to have her on the show. But she said the sequel to The Great Unsealing is happening. And that is why we call it The Great Unsealing 2.0. At Chrissy MC 2022 says, thanks to Judge Lyman, it is abundantly clear that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds took over that movie. It's also clear why she wanted everything sealed and doesn't want certain things at trial, because it proves Justin's case and not hers. And obviously, this is just opinions. Again, summary of the latest unsealing. April Flowers. I love all her takes over on X. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds crossed so many professional, ethical, and personal boundaries, stealing It Ends With Us. It is astonishing. And then, she took it a little further and she even had the gif. I said what I said. Also, Hollywood is full of sniveling, weak cowards, which is probably why pedos thrive in the entertainment industry. I said what I said. We did see a lot of this cowardice in previous unsealings with Josh Greenstein, Warren Zavala, just like all the people who got pushed around and didn't want to say anything. And then there was like the people that we got behind the scenes with all the Sony execs who to her face were saying like, oh, you're cool, whatever. But behind the scenes, they were like, she's a terrorist, she's this, she's that. So that's why on the docket, if you guys go over to the Lively versus Wayfair case, each case on the docket, I have a little box that says why it matters. And I know a lot of people are, have different opinions on why this case matters. But for me, I felt like it matters because we're getting an inside look at like these distribution companies like Sony, how they work, the PR companies behind the scene, the production companies, the infighting between productions and like the actors. What kind of rights do they have over like the directors? I know DFJ posted a really cool video over on her channel with a director that was at the Oscars or something that was saying like final cut should go to the director, whatever, because people are starting to talk more about like this kind of imbalance and, like the diva actors and all this stuff. So really interesting coming out of this case. Inside the unsealing were some receipts, Sony emails, and Lively's cuts. So we had the Sony exec emails, communications that confirmed Reynolds' involvement. It ends with lawsuits surfaced, the unsealed Sony executives' emails, internal correspondence corroborating that Ryan Reynolds was directly involved in the It Ends With Us production decisions, contrary to public framing. Now, the Lively supporters are basically saying, and this was Miss Doppel, what is her name? Doppelmayner. I saw her on a thread over on TikTok who was arguing that, when they say Blake or when they say Ryan, they're talking about their teams. They didn't know anything. They're just talking about their teams. And I'm like, okay, sure, Jan. And then we have on the other side, the first cut, Lively's It Ends With Us cut was so bad that Sony had to step in. Per the unsealed material surfacing on Reddit, It Ends With Lawsuits, Blake Lively's first cut of It Ends With Us was so poorly received internally that Sony intervened on the edit. So let's go to the first one here. Sony exec communications confirmed that Ryan Reynolds had his hands all over It Ends With Us. He and Blake Lively were even in charge of the cuts. WTF. So here we see Angie Janetti, which is going to come out as being one of the star witnesses for Baldoni's case, because a lot of the Blake people are like, she was flip-flopping and she was two-faced and this and that. And it was like, there are some, when she's talking to Alex, she kind of does flip-flop on Baldoni or whatever, but it does seem like at some point she was kind of like, not showing all her cards, but it seems like in the end, she did the right thing. She's supporting the Wayfair party. It seems like this is how they got all these text messages, I'm assuming, because Josh, he already deleted all of his responses. So they have Josh Greenstein's text. They just don't have his responses. So he was throwing everybody under the bus who replied to him, but we don't have any responses from Josh himself. But this one, it says, Josh and I had a long call today with Blake and Ryan. So this is where they're saying that it was the teams and not them. Regarding the research in the 5 scenes from Justin's cut, we asked to be reinstated. And this is in June of 2024 when they're doing the editing process. We can give you more details tomorrow, but the upshot of what and then they said Ryan, she and Ryan, I guess, said is, or remember, is she actually Ryan? Like, is that what Angie is saying? Because remember, we always kept thinking that whenever Blake is talking, it's actually Ryan. Rooftop, doing a combo and we'll post for us tomorrow, more romantic. So it's insinuating that maybe the rooftop scene, they incorporated more of Justin's stuff in there. The party, she will reinstate Justin's other than the one shot she wants out. Fine. Frittata's first abuse, she will reinstate Justin's. The parking lot, she insists on her version. Final abuse, she refuses to intercut flashbacks inside the scene, but will work tonight and tomorrow to cut down and post for us. She and Ryan are calling you tomorrow to share with you how crucial Dallas screening is, and she believes she can get her cut where it needs to be. I think what I did today takes both cuts. So I don't know who that was here that was responding to her there, but so this came from a Sony, as you can see in the bait stamp that was from a Sony drop. But yeah, I found it interesting that, she did incorporate, we did know that she incorporated some of Justin's stuff back in there, but the rooftop thing was a new nugget. And the way that she said Ryan, it just goes to our theory. So shout out to the smart girl over on It Ends With Lawsuits for clocking that. And then we also had this one where Sony stepped in. Let me share this tab. Blake Lively's cut of It Ends With Us was so bad that Sony asked her to re-add scenes from Justin Baldoni's cut. So we saw that other half of it. This is between Josh Greenstein and Angie. And this is Same Difference Avenue. I love her stuff over on It Ends With Lawsuits. I'm constantly, always attracted to all her posts. She makes really good posts. So it says, Angie, here is a comparison Justin cut versus Blake's cut in all key measures. Justin's cut scores higher in every category other than Lily and Atlas's relationship. And why is that? Is because Blake, remember, she kind of changed the story to be more about Lily and Atlas. And I think it's because she wanted the sequel so bad. And the sequel is about Lily and Atlas. So in a way, she was trying to make the whole story about them when the story was about this DV relationship gone wrong. The whole love story with Atlas obviously doesn't play out until the second book. And if you read the first book, it is a big part of the story, but the main emphasis is on how she falls in love with this guy and how she can't bring herself to figure out how she didn't see the red flags and all that stuff. That seems to be even the end, the epilogue talks about, her parents in the DV. It doesn't talk about this other guy that her mom was with whatever, because it was loosely based on her mom's story or whatever, but she added this whole romance stuff. But anyways, down here highlighted, book readers prefer Justin's cut across the board. Now, you guys remember that she has a text messages saying that she changed it because she was giving the book readers what they wanted. And obviously that's not the case because look, book readers prefer Justin's take. And then obviously here's the second one that we just read from the other one. So we'll go back to the show, but yeah, that was pretty spicy finding out that Ryan was all up in the sauce. We already knew it, but this is more proof that, we knew that she had to run the final cut by Colleen, by Taylor, now by Ryan, probably Bradley even. Who knows how many people had to say yes to the cut, not the director. Like DFJ's video said, that the one guy who was director should have final cut. Baldoni was nowhere in the conversation. And then the bot narrative and the meet the parody line. These were another two things. TV Movie Addict makes another appearance here. All the lies are being exposed. And she's quote tweeting Mandy Magnan, who says, wait, so Blake Lively already knew based off reports that there was no evidence of a smear campaign. And it looks like the social media activity was from the movie release. And she is still going full steam ahead. So this was something from her own people. All her own evidence always goes against her. It says the timing is right when the movie came out. This is about the spike, the noise that was being talked about with her. And when the alleged campaign started, August 2nd. So can't really say which caused it from temporal data alone, if it was the movie on August 9th, or when you're saying that the campaign allegedly started on August 2nd. The fact is it immediately crashed 76% in September, suggests that the movie hype was more than sustained the campaign. Bots would be more consistent over time. And this is what we kept saying, that if she had just kept her mouth shut and not filed a lawsuit, by December, people had already forgotten. Look, it had already crashed down 76% by September, a month later. No one was talking about it. It's a 24-hour news cycle. You just be quiet, let it blow over. It's celebrity, PR 101. But she couldn't do that. She had to file this lawsuit for revenge, or for Stephanie Jones's revenge, or for Ryan Reynolds' revenge. Who knows? Allegedly, in my opinion, only we have the little bar down there. So Inner City Press also reported this, which I think we had seen before, but it's Jamila Jamil saying, the minute it turns into parody, the internet hates you. Jennifer is talking to Melissa and she says, Jamila just texted me yesterday and flagged something similar and said it's all over for her. Parody, you know, the internet, it's all over for her. Once you get into parody, the minute it turns into parody, you know, the internet hates you. And so, yeah, I quoted Jamil per the docket unsealing there, which I thought was funny because, you know, we're starting with parody. We're going to end with parody. So Jamila, like, knew, like, dude, people are making parody videos of you. Like, it's done now. And that's what's, you know, obviously we're not going to have a camera like we did with Amber Heard, but, you know, we'll have the celebrity court sketchers and all that stuff. And who knows what'll come out of those. So we'll see. And then people will be in there, you know, reporting how she was acting and all this stuff. So we don't know. Somebody might even make, now with AI and all that stuff, they might make little cartoons. I remember with Johnny Depp, they made little cartoons of what was happening. They were some of the funnest stuff to watch. Entertaining. The Dirty Delete saga, part 1 of 2. It ends with us, dailies, and the deposition. So Megan Nicole 87 was threading the Daily's dirty delete timeline all weekend, lining up the deletions against Blake's deposition and the inconsistencies. They stop looking incidental when you start to piece everything together. So the reason why I call it the dirty delete is, you know, that's something that they say when you post something and then you like try to like delete it on social media. They call it like dirty deleting. And it seems like she wanted to delete the dailies. So I'll let Megan explain here to you guys. Let me make sure that the sound is up here. Where can I do sound? Here we go. Oh, wait, it seems like I lost audio. Hold up 1 second. I just got a thing that said I lost audio. So let me share the screen. We hadn't had trouble in a while. All right, here we go.
And I found this like gem. It's going around on Reddit, but we all know the timeline, right? At the end of August, Blake Lively gets Jen Abel's phone and all those text messages. By September, she's planning litigation. She's going to sue the shit out of Wayfair. By the end of September, Van Zandt is in action. And what have we all learned through the course of this lawsuit? The minute you know you are going to sue somebody or you are going to get sued by somebody, you can't delete shit. You got it. It's not delete nothing. So it's very interesting that this text popped out in Lively's evidence. September of 2024. So Lively knows she is going to sue. She's lawyered the fuck up. Call when you can. This is Angie Giannetti texting Josh Greenstein. Josh Greenstein is a Sony executive. Angie Giannetti, executive producer on this film. Call when you can. Not urgent, but Blake asking us to destroy some of the dailies. Want to tell you what we will and won't do. She's going to ask Bridget to contact all vendors and ask them to delete all dailies and need them to proof, okay? First time I've ever been asked to do this in a movie with no nudity, but okay. And from what my understanding is with dailies and there's nudity involved, it's kind of an automatic. You're just going to destroy those. You don't want anything coming back to be used against your actors in the future because dailies, like nude dailies of an actor could absolutely be used for nefarious reasons. But as we all know, Blake Lively refused to do nudity in this film, so there is no nudity. So why would she be wanting to destroy dailies? Why would she be wanting to do this? And this is contemporaneous. This is in the moment in September of 2024. Angie Giannetti saying Blake is asking her to destroy dailies. Now, mind you, this is probably not going to be brought up at trial. This is probably not going to mean anything. It's hearsay, but it is very interesting. Rules for thee and not for me. Blake is asked about this in July of 2025, a year later. Up top, they're asking about her return to work and would she want anything deleted, you know? And she's like, of course I would if the footage was sensitive in nature. Like, yeah, and I don't blame her. I would too. Like, hello. But then she straight up asked. So you never asked or had anybody on your behalf ask anyone from Sony to destroy the dailies. Is that correct? No, I never asked anyone to destroy dailies. No. What about, did you ask anyone on your behalf to contact Sony to destroy these dailies? To destroy the dailies? No. Now, why would Angie Giannetti in September of 2024, who has no idea litigation is coming, tell Josh Greenstein, Blake Lively wants dailies destroyed? Why is that something that she would be like, yeah, Blake wants this, unless Blake asked for it? And this is not the first time Blake has not remembered something. The amount of times in her deposition, if you read the full thing, she says, I don't know, I can't recall, I don't remember, is actually astonishing for a case that she wants hundreds of millions of dollars from. You would think she'd have a crystal clear memory. That woman can't remember shit. But just another contradiction, a minor one that will be brought up in trial, I bet you $1 million. Just talk about the unfollowing, right? Blake Lively, did you cause or suggest to the cast If It Ends With Us to stop following Justin Baldoni on social media? No. But then Colleen comes in like a sledgehammer. Before the premiere of the film on August the 6th, you said you unfollowed Justin. Uh-huh. And why did you do that? Blake asked me to. Why would Colleen lie about that? And why would Blake forget that? It's very weird. Just interesting that Blake Lively would be asking to destroy dailies. Something that she would go on to ask for as evidence for her side. She would ask for the dailies, the film footage, and then those things would come back to vindicate Justin. The dancing scene, for one. The scene where she kisses him without consent, for two, the hospital scene. It's just interesting. Rules for thee and not for me, apparently. Blake Lively lives by that. It's like her motto. Tattoo it to her forehead.
So I love that video and how she just clocked the dailies, because a bunch of people are saying that, did she dirty delete the dailies? And is that why she didn't think there was going to be audio for the dance scene? Is that why she thought she could just get away with putting whatever she wanted into the lawsuit, because she didn't think they were around? And then it was like reverse Uno. Oh my God, they're still there. And she wasn't aware of it. And there was a theory going around before we get into Bocce's video. There was a theory going around very early on in the case. I don't remember who it was, but about how Ryan had seen the dailies or had gone on set. And this is like, I never verified it. It was like for a very short time. And then it was like a nothing burger because we never got anything to verify it. But that he had gone into the trailer because he had seen the dailies and had screamed at Blake. And I'm like, I'm wondering if that has legs now, because maybe that's why she wanted the dailies deleted, because she didn't want Ryan to see her, improv kisses on Baldoni. Like, a lot of this now it's starting to go with the theory that Ryan's behind all this, in my opinion, allegedly, because the daily thing, like, it seems like a jealousy thing. Remember, he put that Instagram post where he's like, here's my wife's trailer, I just don't like her making love to other men. But he used her name, Blake, instead of saying like it's Lily who makes love to the actor. It's not Blake making love to men. Like, what the heck? So I don't know. It could be, a lot of other people think that she was, doing it for Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones kind of like, riled her up to do it. And she's kind of like a pawn in Stephanie Jones' game. Other people think it was for Scarlett Johansson, the PGA letter. But I found that interesting, the dailies for the Ryan theory. At Bocce Go Hawks also ran a parallel timeline with the lawyer communications, which I thought was really cool. Will this timeline?
I don't know if this timeline matters, but I'm putting it out anyway. And hopefully other people can fill in the gaps. 9/3/2024, we find out from Ange that Blake Lively asked them to destroy some of the dailies. That same day, you see a lot of back and forth between Mitz Toskovic and their lawyers, John Logan Pearson and Schuler Moore Esquire. And it's all around, what does it mean around contractual compliance with Lively's nudity writer? And as Ange said, she's like, usually you don't request these to be destroyed unless, it falls in line with the nudity writer. And it was odd for her to get requests to destroy things that didn't have nudity. Then on September 13, there's this article that goes out that says Blake Lively's husband's Ryan Reynolds willing to buy out Justin Baldoni from It Ends With Us. On that same day, there's emails going between the lawyers seeking information to facilitate providing legal advice regarding legal compliance with actors' agreements for box office bonuses. So I think, again, this whole contract not being signed and the question of, do we need to give her money for these box office things? She never signed anything. I think that's the conversation, not 100% definitive, but that's happening at the same time that it's leaking that Ryan wants to buy the rights to the sequel. Then we have a text message between Colleen and Josh. And it's supposedly he has some news. It could be because they're trying to do work together. It could be because it's 4 days before this situation being Van Zandt. It was 4 days before Van Zandt that they had this conversation. I know a lot of people thought I went off the deep end thinking that they were speaking in code on December 17 about these cars. And I could be, but it's so different from the rest of the way they communicate. And unless she has the cars that she claimed that she had, I question this conversation to this day. It's also 4 days before the New York Times drops. Also, hi, hope you're doing well and stress-free, with a laughing emoji. I just feel like Colleen and Josh knew.
No sound. Okay. Yeah, she has a lot of interesting takes. I love that one where she matched up the lawyer communications. I thought that was really interesting. I hadn't seen that anywhere else. And yeah, she was on Josh's neck over the weekend as well on some of her videos, which as he should, because she made a really funny video over on TikTok of pictures of Josh and Blake at the premiere. So yeah, let's continue on as we finish the show out. You guys check out docket updates on YouTube. So if you guys want like all the tea on what happened on the hearing, if you want all the tea on the mini unsealings, this is her live commentary. She had Tilted Lawyer, Court of Random Opinion, Bocce Go Hawks, DFJ. So these are all the videos over there. She's got 2 sets of recaps from the hearing. She's got beautiful slideshows here. The pretrial hearing chat with Court of Random Opinion and Omar, the Tilted Lawyer. She's got the hearing chat with DFJ, which was really, really cool. This is the one where she almost missed her plane. An amazing recap. And then she also had DFJ back on with Bocce. And I believe Cassidy ended up coming in at the end of this one for the mini unsealing. And they went over a bunch of stuff. So if you guys go to the show page, you can click from there to all the YouTube streams. Obviously, I think a lot of people here already follow docket updates, but she's my featured docket. Over on Celebrity Dockets, each case has its own like docket website. I at least try to find it if there is one, because it's like the new popular thing to where citizens are just taking to websites and dockets to create their own like, to create their own like kind of spot of like, this is where everything lives. I know for Celeste Hernandez's case under the David, there's a Justice for Celeste Hernandez where they have all the key players, all of his friends, everything like that. And that was also just a citizen-made site. We've had the Daubert docket, which is Daubert Hadley against Rock Nation, which we don't cover because obviously you guys know why. We covered it a little bit in the very beginning. I think I still have just like one video up. But then we have the OVO docket who covers the Drake case, which I love all their coverage over there. And so I'm just obsessed with dockets. I could go on and on, but docket updates is our featured docket. And I'd love for you guys to go and support her, especially docketupdates.com. It's got a little buy me a coffee at the bottom. So if you guys can help support that, she's getting it all ready with the timeline and all the attorneys' pages, getting it ready for trial, and as well as, attending trial all the way in New York. So giving her all her flowers, and there's the links for you guys. Trial starts May 18th. Jury selection will come first, and then we'll get into opening arguments. We'll be covering all the latest from citizens and the docket on our show every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. We will be here, and the filings will be tracked at the Lively and Wayfair docket. I'm not really updating that a ton unless it's like something super big because I'm letting docket updates do all the talking. They have latest news over there. And let me just pull it up for you guys real quick. So see, they have everything here, the latest news. This is non-docket related, but it was about how Blake Lively said that it was so beautiful when soccer players hugged and cried at work, but yet she's talking about the set being treated like a barbecue, unprofessional, too huggy. Like it's okay when they hug, but it's not okay to be hugging in a movie, which I thought was interesting. And then, she just updates the docket as she goes. Wonderful website. So yeah. Go check that out, and we will continue into part 2 of the show as we get into it. I'm going to get into a couple of comments here. And thank you guys. Like I said, it's going to be a kind of a long show today, but I just wanted to get it all out, and that way I can just cut these videos into sections. But let's just get into a couple of comments here before we get into the next one. I'm going to leave that slide up while we get into comments. Bruce the Moose says, I can't put spells on people with a white noise generator. Be right back. I'm hitting up Amazon. This is him talking about the Maya Maletti, Larry Maletti case, true crime case coming up on May 11th. Bizio says, one of our members, love MK True Crime, and this interview was fire. DFJ's reminding me that she already told me about Lyman's dad, but I'm like Dory. If you guys watch the Rebel Wilson, you guys know what that means because they made a Dory joke on the Rebel Wilson trial. He was a big Hollywood lawyer. He did the Warner, the Murder, all the big names, and Lyman worked for him. So yeah, I remember now that you had brought it up in the comment, but I had just, I guess, forgotten. CJ, I hope you have enough coffee for today's topics. I do, and we'll have at the end of the show, we'll have a whole which coffee I'm currently drinking. She's great with her deep dives. This is talking about Kashmir Chronicles. Everybody loved her. So you guys go give her a follow over on TikTok. Loving Kashmir. This is about Blake Lively. She's terrible at promotion. And I'm 99% sure that it was Elsie who suggested last week how instead of promoting her products around the movie premiere, she should have given away her products and gift bags. Unbelievable. Donnie, I know you were trying to drop the link, but you can't put links in the chat. If you wanted to send that over to me on X, I can retweet it and or just save it for Monday's show and include it there. And Mildly says, may the 4th be with you for all who celebrate. May the 4th be with you all. DFJ says all her evidence always backfires. Hen said, so my question is, can WP now go after BL for actual spoliation? Where are the lawyers at? I don't know if they would even want to. I don't know if all this is going to come afterwards because I keep thinking about Donna Adelson. I know it's true crime, but there was a point where everybody's like, why is Donna Adelson not getting arrested? And, all this stuff. And then it was like they were doing it piece by piece. First, they got the hitman, then they got the girlfriend, and then eventually they got the son, and then finally they got Donna. So I don't know if they're just going to go piece by piece or what. Laura, our beautiful mod, she couldn't stay the whole show, but she was basically telling Donnie that you can't share it through here. But thank you so much, Laura, for all your help this morning. I know it's a long show, so I appreciate you. Bocce's timelines always matter, says Mildly. She's so helpful in cementing the order of things in my head. It's something I struggle with that she's excellent at, and my brain needs to retain the info. So that's the latest. We're going into another one. She's like, today's show was great, Celebrity Dockets. Thanks, boo. Hens, we're still going. We have 3 trials to get through. These ones don't have as many videos, so we should be getting through them more quickly. So if y'all want to hear about David, y'all can hang around. If y'all aren't interested in David, y'all can come back. But we're going to do People versus David, then Rebel. Then we're going to go into the full rundown of the docket and then end the show. But somebody said that they didn't want to hear about politics and stuff. I think that they were referring to Spencer Pratt in the mayoral race, which I guess it's political, but I mean, I'm more looking at it from a celebrity perspective, and I stan the Pratt, so that's why I'm covering it. But yeah, you're more than welcome to just stay for certain halves. I'll try and bookmark it if she's still here, and put timestamps, so if she wants to skip the political stuff, she could just, get to the cases she wants to watch. And again, like I said, I'm going to break these up. So here we go. This is the People versus David. Preliminary is now May 26th. We're going to go over the defense strategy, personality theories, and the citizens' reactions. Preliminary got pushed to May 26th at the defense request, and the pre-preliminary brief stayed unsealed despite Blair Burke's objections. That's David's attorney. And the contents are damning. We dive into the defense strategy, the personality theories circulating online, and how citizens are reacting. Plus, he got a haircut but didn't get the suit. So let's get into it, y'all. The preliminary was postponed and the brief stayed unsealed. So it was supposed to happen on May 1st. It got switched to May 26th at the defense's request. And the status hearing for that will be May 12th. So next week, we'll be getting more tea on that. Defense's seal motion was denied. Blair Burke argued that the brief was one-sided and warned of an extreme amount of media attention tainting the jury pool. Almeida, who is the judge, refused and said, in her words, this case is no different from countless other high-profile cases in LA that often involve celebrities. What comes to mind? OJ. It was a different time. Obviously, the internet wasn't like interneting as it was now, but that's the biggest high profile out of LA that I can think of, celebrity wise. What's in the brief? Burke allegedly ordered a shovel, 2 chainsaws, body bags, which we've heard from DFJ. I love her cadaver bag stuff. Where do you buy cadaver bags? Heavy duty laundry bags and a blue inflatable pool in the days following April 23rd, 2025. Rideshare driver had routed Celeste from Lake Elsinore to the Hollywood Hills resident the night of the killing. The pre-preliminary wardrobe was also denied. He wanted to go into street clothes, and they said no. I believe you guys remember when Diddy, they let him wear regular clothes. He had like sweaters and slacks. Haircut was granted, so you'll see the new pictures of him. He looks more like David now, I guess, more baby face. Because before people were like, "Is it a clone? It doesn't look like David," but he had a full beard. But yeah, this on this list, someone also pointed out on Reddit. I couldn't include it in the show this morning because it just dropped this morning. But they're pointing out how it's crazy how all these items were less than $100. They were like $20, $30, $40 items for each thing. Like how cheap it was to buy all this stuff that they pointed out. So here are the orders. SF Investigates provided them for us of the clothing being denied and the haircut being granted. So you guys can go into the David docket on Celebrity Dockets, and you guys can go and read those if you guys want to. And then the sketch is back. I love this. Murph Mixer X over on X said, "Who would have thought that the new renaissance could be ushered in by courtroom sketch artists?" And so here we have some sketches from the Elon Musk. We have David's last sketch. But you guys know how much I love court sketches. I love them. I made a whole courtroom culture section. So if you guys go over to Celebrity Dockets, behind the bench, you get courtroom sketches, courtroom fashion, which we'll get into with the Rebel case. But we now have new pictures of David. So this was the old one by Bill Robles. He was our featured artist last week. This week we have Mona Schaefer Edwards. She's done stuff for Britney Spears' conservatorship, Heidi Fleiss, Lindsay Lohan, Charlie Sheen. She is big time. She's one of the sketch legends. She drew for O.J. Simpson, the Menendez brothers, the Michael Jackson trial, both trials, 2005 and the Conrad Murray trial. So here he is looking more baby-faced here. And I really like her style. It's more like cartoony and like the scribbly. It reminds me of like Charlie Brown, you know, like when Linus is like carrying around the dirty blanket and it's got all the squiggles. That's what it reminds me of a little bit. And so this one was really interesting because it's got Blair Burke and his other attorney as well. And you see the deputies here. He was actually chained. If you see in this picture here, you can see the handcuff, so he was handcuffed. His hands were, I guess, and his ankles were as well. And he was just really quiet from observers that were in the courtroom. But as you guys can see here, he looks more grown. Obviously, it's two different artists, but here he looks more baby-faced. And in this one, she even drew him even more baby-faced. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. If you guys wanted to check it out, it's on the show page, and you guys can go and check it out there. Full courtroom culture. You guys can go over to the page. So there was 36 pages, the brief of shopping lists and cell tower pings. The brief Blair Burke fought to keep sealed. Old Meadow refused. Now it's public, and we have the full document courtesy of Courthouse News. So this is what's cool about it. It doesn't have a watermark, so it's not hard to read, but it is from Courthouse News, and I posted, I gave them all the flowers. You can access it through the David docket as well on Celebrity Dockets. Just go there. To the right, if you scroll all the way down, you will see the prosecution brief. And I believe I might have even pinned it at the top of the page. So you guys can read it. It's got trigger warnings. I have trigger warnings all over that page because, yeah, it gets pretty graphic. But we're going to get into some of the evidence that we found. Direct meets circumstantial. DA frames this as a blended case. Direct's physical proof. They have direct physical proof and strong interference. No eyewitnesses, no confession that we know of. So we don't know if Neo has turned or anything. So far right now, this is what we have. So the defense is basically framing it as, well, all you guys have is purely circumstantial. And that's what Harvey's kind of trying to spin over on TMZ. Like, do they really have a case? Some of the gaps that Harvey pointed out was like, there's no eyewitness, no confession, and that the physical evidence is degraded because her body was decomposing. Prosecution's stand is that they have a blend of direct physical proof and strong inference. So let's look at what was the direct evidence. DNA was found in the garage, which is the alleged dismemberment site. And I'll let you guys know my theory on that here coming up next. The autopsy, homicide via 2 penetrating torso wounds. Digital proof, 40 terabytes of data, including CSAM on his iPhone. His relationship, explicit photos, text documenting their relationship. Circumstantial evidence, the vehicle last seen driving the Tesla containing the body, but you can't really see him there. So I don't know how they figured that was him, if they have other footage. The purchases, Amazon orders, but like, was it him that actually ordered it? Did someone else have access to his computer? The 3 trips to Lake Kachuma where the passport was recovered with the location. I mean, do we have them on street cams? I know the SF Investigate said there's a bunch of street cams license plate readers basically on the way up there. So it'll be interesting to see like if it's actual concrete. Text showing victim threatened to end his career. So there's, a motive there, but, was it him that actually did it or not? And I know that DFJ, she clowns me because she's like, they need to hire you. But I like to look at both sides and be like, what are they going to argue? So we're going to get into that right here. But before we get into what could be argued, here is the garage theory. So trigger warning real quick because it is, pretty gruesome. The smell, the storage, and the bathroom window. 3 threads converging on the same room. The garage theory of where Celeste was kept and dismembered before her body was moved to the Tesla. And I know last night I told DFJ that I thought that maybe my theory is that she came in through the garage. And I'll show you why in the next video. But he had like a little arcade in his garage here. And you guys remember how the brief basically stated that he watched her bleed out? I'm wondering if he's been this stupid where he's left all this trail. Was there a camera? Because this seems like there's like a mounted camera somewhere filming. So I'm like, was there a camera? Did he film it? Did he somehow film it and they got a hold of the camera? Because, this is where he streamed and stuff. So that was one of my theories, was that she came in through the garage and that the initial whatever unaliving was done there. And then that's where he kept her. And that's why it smelled. It says video shows David apologizing to his friends about a horrible smell in his home 2 months after he allegedly unalived and dismembered Celeste Rivas in the same house. So I'm going to play it real quick for you. Oh, I didn't realize I still had the comments up. Hold on. Well, we have no sound. Sorry about that, y'all. Again, the reason why I did one screen was so that we didn't have to worry about sound. But thank you, DFJ. Okay, here we go. We should get sound back again. Let me restart it.
Oh, wait, yeah, we can get my bills from here. Do you put this in the bag too? Unless you don't mind. I have a lot of bills. Can you put?
Oh, his nails green, right?
You, bro. I'm looking at your packing, bro. Go f yourself. I don't even get paid, guys. I'm not even getting paid for this bullshit, bro. This, bro. All y'all dead ass.
Oh. Now, do we make up? Yeah.
ABC. Oh,
They didn't expose
I
her?
apologize in
Okay.
advance for the way my bathroom smelled. I took a shit around the
I don't care, I just took it.
Another one? Tired of shit. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yo, I had to go.
And you guys see Neo's face? He's like, okay. So he's basically saying he took a, number 2 and that's why it smells. But what's, everybody's a detective. Like literally, we have the super sleuths on this case. And they basically had brought up the fact that the window, and I wanted to give them their credit. So it takes you to Reddit when you click it here. Hold on one second. So hold on. I don't know what's going on. For some reason there's a, hold on one second. I think that's the wrong one. Let me pull up. Let me stop sharing, because now it's all complicated. Okay, hold on one second, y'all. I don't know why we're having technical difficulties and I lost the chat. Okay, here we go. So let me just share the screen here one more time and see if we can figure it out. Okay. So this is the bathroom windows position here. As you guys can see there, on my end, I have this. I might have to come out and come back in, you guys. I'm so sorry. Hold on one second. 'Cause I have like this big giant like blurry window in front of me. Okay. Oh wait, echo. Hold on. It might have been Shap. I don't know what happened, y'all. I am back and now we are good. I don't have, it was like weird because like my whole screen just had like a giant blurry window over it. I couldn't see the screen. I couldn't see the chat. I couldn't see nothing. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So let me go back to Docket Updates, the show. Let me just pull it back up. Thank you guys for being so patient in the meantime. If you guys haven't liked the stream yet, give it a like. And I will pull up the rest of the show here for you guys, the David half. It's weird because it didn't happen during the and I was just priding myself on how now it's you know, the how now the hold on one second. The show, the reason why I did it all on one page is because we always had sound issues when I had to switch pages and stuff. So sorry for those that, I wish we could cut this stuff out, but, and as if the show wasn't already long enough, now I'm making it longer, but, so I'll just show you guys how to get to the show page now that I'm here, so you can go open show notes. So we'll go all the way down to where we were. Hold on one second. Where were we? So we're past all the lively stuff. Let's go down. Okay, here we go. We're back at the David stuff. So hopefully now it works without it putting. So here we go. The garage footage. So let's share this tab instead. Yeah, and now let's put myself in mini mode. So this is where he supposedly dismembered her. So you guys can see, let me zoom in a little bit more. So you guys can see that it's the same bike there in that footage. And then here is where the arcade was on the other side. So one, it's like separated by curtains. Let me play it again one more time so you guys can see it. So this is the picture that TMZ had from the garage there. And then up here you see, and this is why I think that she was, she came in through there because this is the door to the house right up here. So let me just play it as you see everybody come out of the house. So I think that this garage door was open, which would be right here, which they're saying that this thing is the stain over here on this bottom corner by the timestamp. So I'm thinking that like this garage was open and he came out of this door and like right away just got her like right after she got out of the Uber. But that's just my theory because that would explain why there was, you know, blood on the floor. Because a lot of people are like, well, you know, like what about the pool and all this? And like they didn't say any mention about them finding blood inside the house. They just mentioned the garage. So I'm assuming that either that or she was getting ready to leave, but it was within 20 minutes of her arrival, right? Between 10:10 and 10:30, because by the time she got dropped off, he was then texting at 10:30, hey, did you make it in or whatever, trying to get his alibi. So there was that. And then there was also this one over here, which showed the window. So here is the garage, right? The bathroom windows are directly above the first garage to the left. If you guys see here, here's that garage door that we talked about that leads into the house. And then here is the bathroom window. And you can see they went into Zillow and everything. Like I said, the super sleuths were sleuthing. And so here are the windows to that bathroom. So was the stench coming up from the garage, and is that where she, where they, and here's the Sakura stream where he's saying that he had just taken a dump. That's him back there. So yeah, so the super sleuths were sleuthing. DFJ was asking me like, well, where was her body for like that whole week? Maybe it was just in the garage. Maybe that's where it happened and that's where he kept her. I had a theory that maybe he had taken the body to Santa Barbara and then he brought it back to dismember it in the garage. But I don't think so because they are sure that he dismembered her on May 5th. And that's why I'm like, was there some sort of camera inside the garage that they know that that was the date that he actually did it? Or we saw that there was a wiretap did he tell his parents? You guys know the Donna Adelson case, you know, how parents and whatever talk. Like, we've seen some crazy stuff when parents and kids talk after they've committed something or whatever. So did something come out there? How are they so sure of the date? That's what I don't understand. But yeah, so I was like really, really impressed with the super sleuths on this case. And so was, I believe this is the next slide. So was the people over on The Wire, because they got into, oh no, we're going to get into the chainsaw first before we get into the super sleuth flowers. The chainsaw that was left behind. So per the prosecution brief, Burke ordered 2 chainsaws on Amazon. So the Reddit that I go to is Dave Idiot. So you guys will see a bunch of stuff from Dave Idiots. And they traced one of them, the one apparently left in the garage when he fled. So this was on CBS News Los Angeles. And it was probably provided by Steve Fisher. Yeah, look, there it is. Because he was the one in the garage. So they probably didn't take this chainsaw because it wasn't the one used, probably. I don't know why they would just leave it behind. But there was this chainsaw, which was a different brand. But then Super Sleuth spotted this box down here. So I don't know if you can make it out. But to the right here, there's a box with a red sign that says Makita. And that's a Japanese-made chainsaw that's cordless. This one has a cord, and so maybe that's why he didn't use it, and he used the cordless one. But that one seems to be missing and wasn't in the box. And Steve Fisher was basically saying that he's going to go down to where, you know, he's posted a bunch of videos. He said he had drone footage that he's going to be scanning because he's going to go see what else he can find. Maybe the police didn't scout it enough. Maybe there's other stuff that he can find. Who knows? More evidence over there. I don't know where that other chainsaw is, if that had, you know, DNA on it, but it's interesting that the chainsaw showed up at all. So let's get into I think this is where they get their flowers. Then we're getting into the package, a package in someone else's name. A package surfaced from the West Hollywood residence addressed to Victoria Mendez. So here is the package that Steve Fisher also provided. SF investigates. And in the brief, that shopping list, everything was coming under Victoria Mendez's name. So yeah, that was really interesting that came out because this is a new name. No one knows that any of the friends. We know we had Asia, Neo the Asian. We had Jason Weenie. I know all these crazy names, but it's Twitch streamers. Who else was like, you know, was under the bubble? You know, he had a bunch of high profile friends. He was friends with Billie Eilish, SZA, all them. But it's just interesting. Was this a pseudonym? You know how some people have like a fake name that they like book things with. Maybe he had a female alter ego. Was this one of his alter egos? Which we're going to get into all his alter egos here in a second. But really interesting stuff. But The Wire did a big story in April, on the 23rd of April. The clues were in their Discord all along. It's by Jennifer Swan. It's a really good article. It's a deep read on how David's young fan base is now functioning as citizen prosecution research operation. The Discord, the timestamps of the receipts, and what they want next. So it's a really cool article that delves into all these people who are super sleuths who have been delving into the case. And I found it interesting. I linked it down below. I think, what happened to the link? It should have been here. I'll add it again, but I linked it because it really reminded me of when I first got into the David case. Remember, you guys, I like left because I was like, it is too much. It's too dark. I can't handle it. Obviously, now that more stuff is coming out, it's better helping us understand. But I think at the beginning, I was going through some crazy rabbit holes of like the music industry and tinfoil hat theories and all this stuff, which didn't feel very good. So now we're, you know, more fact-based with these dockets coming out, and so I'm better able to handle it. But it's a really good deep dive on how the super sleuths navigate the case, if you guys wanted to check it out. And I'll make sure that the link is there. I don't know what happened to the link, but so now we're going to get into this really cool video. Before I show you guys the video, you guys can click on it on the show notes. I'm going to go through kind of like what was in the video to hype you guys up so you guys will go check the video out. So this is a psychology personality kind of like video thread. Inside David's head, a rundown of the constructed identities, the personality theories, and the warning signs that nobody caught, laid out across the next few slides, and then the long form video that will tie it all together. So the Wired article was a little bit about how like a bunch of people saw it, you know, through the Discord. So many people knew. And then this is the opposite of that. He's saying like everybody missed the warning signs. So the photo and the framing, absolute fool. This image, the image that fans have been circulating, black and white, hands up, captioned, sets the tone for everything that follows. So this is the mod from our Dave Idiot Reddit. I love that mod. It's a SimComp, and they put this image, absolute fool, instead of absolute cinema. It's absolute fool, and I'm like, this encompasses the whole case, like literally, because we're glad he made so many mistakes because he got caught, but it's just insane. Like, and especially when you deep dive into his childhood, a lot of this video comes from the Spotify documentary, but it's a really good deep dive. So he spent years constructing identities. So these 3 cards lay out the framework: identity diffusion, persona architecture, and the visual catalog of who David actually was at any given moment. So we start off with this one, identity diffusion. It is the boundary between constructed persona and your authentic self, and then it becomes genuinely unclear. You don't know who you really are and who these constructed personalities are. Persona architecture. David spent years living in between constructed identities, none of which were his actual self. So these are the ones, and he spoke about it in an interview, that he had these 4, okay? So I know me and DFJ over on her channel delved into Itami, which was his, manga anime character that he had made up that was, kind of evil or whatever. So this here in the center is David, the person, okay? He then created D4VD, which we call him David anyways, but it stands for D4VD, which was the artist. He spoke professionally, almost like, trying to be like overly intellectual, like, this means that, and then visible string theory, this, that, whatever. Then we had Tommy, who was the guy that he says, gets him into trouble, the one that hurts people, the one that, he tried to say that it was like this detective who murders people and then solves the crime afterwards. He basically copied it from an anime called MPD Psycho, which is multi-personality detective psycho. Which we now know on our last episode, our premiere episode, that he basically copied it from that. So he had a Tommy, and then he had D4VD, and then he had his Fortnite avatar, which was this one here. So he had a different personality for when he was gaming. He acted different. He spoke different. And then he had his social media personality, which was completely different than D4VD, because during his social media personality, it was Gen Alpha, brain rot speak. He talked about gooning, which is, a term that people use for, when they play with themselves. Like, it was really some like very low level, like not how he spoke as D4VD. If you watched his social media and then watched him speak in interviews, it was like 2 different people. So obviously, because he had all these personalities. So these were his 4 main personalities that he acquired over time. And he talks about how he developed his gaming personality, and then how he got into anime writing, or, making his first comic book, and he created the Tommy personality. And then once, his song Romantic Homicide got big, it was overnight. He literally went to sleep one night and it had like 1 million views the next day. And then I think at one point got to like 1.3 billion plays for that song. So then he had to create this artist persona, right? So those are the personalities, which I thought were interesting, because if he's going to go for like a mental illness approach or whatever to the defense, and then the video goes into these questions. Question 1, was David born with psychopathic traits, or did the environment shape him like this? And so this is David as a baby. And these are the 2 questions that it poses. The visual context of the psych thread leans on childhood photos surrounding his booking image, and mapping the shift from kid to the constructed adult persona. Because the second question that it poses is, if many children experience homeschooling, many children watch gore, many watch anime, all without becoming violent, why was David different? And it shows all this pictures from when he got pulled out to be homeschooled, which was when he was in, I believe, 8th grade, around the age of 13. At 14, we know that he watched his first beheading. It ultimately comes down to this video basically saying that he was let loose on the internet unsupervised, pretty much. He desensitized himself to gore to become less empathic. He created these personas. He just had way too much time on his hands. And because he had been in school already, he felt like he was missing out, because he was chronically on social media, living on the gram. Like, all these people were proposing for homecoming, and he's like, I'm homeschooled and I don't get to have a relationship with someone. So that's why I believe he was stunted at age 13, and probably why he was dating, younger or whatever. Because the video also poses that maybe it started off as a friendship gaming with him and Celeste. and then it like eventually evolved, because obviously, you know, it took 2 years before they started to have relations together and all that stuff. That maybe he was just mentally stunted at that point. But you see these pictures of him as a kid and you're like, where did it go wrong? So if you guys wanted to delve into that video all in one sit down, you guys can go over to Jay Wisdom. He talks about the constructed personas, the identity diffusion, the questions that the preliminary brief does not answer. It's all pulled together into this one personality theory deep dive. So you can press play from the show notes. And like I said, it's on the main page of Celebrity Dockets if you guys wanted to go back. It's about an hour video. Really, really good. Talks about his childhood, his parents, everything. It breaks it all down, how he got there. So this is the defense playbook that, you know, DFJ makes fun of me. This is what I think he might try. This is all allegedly. Door number 1 is third-party blame. Blame someone close to him. Victoria, you know, the Casey Anthony approach, Zanny the Nanny, if you guys know the Casey Anthony, where she just made up this name, which happened to be a real person's name. Which was so crazy because then her name was everywhere. And I think she even sued Casey Anthony. Is this restaged for 2026? Is it going to be Victoria Mendez? Is there a Victoria Mendez somewhere that he's going to say, oh, it was a girl I was dating that was jealous of Celeste. She unalived her before she came into the house. I didn't know I was waiting for her. Will they pin an attack on a third party with proximity and motive? Like, you know, maybe Neo, Asia, any of those people. But the cost is that it requires plausible alternate suspect with documentary footing. The second one is Itami did it, the multiple personality approach. Lean into the Itami persona and the broader identity diffusion thread. Mental illness defense, diminished capacity, not full-blown insanity. It's a high risk, high reward. The cost is that it opens his own internet history wide for the prosecution. It'll leave that door wide open. And then door number 3 is what Harvey is saying that the defense is going to do, is basically this is all circumstantial. You have no eyewitness, no confession. There's reasonable doubt here. You know, degraded forensics, no direct witnesses. It doesn't address the Amazon orders or the cell tower data or the DNA in the garage. The prosecution's blended case framing exists specifically to cut this argument off. So they have a ton of evidence. In the meantime, the algorithm does not care, because check out his Spotify chart. He's been charged with murder. But yet his listeners are up. And Savin says over on X, y'all are sick in the head, because he's got 23.2 monthly listeners. And you can see here on this little chart here, he went from 21.5 to 22.9. This is April 29th, 23.1. And then as of today, he was at, so as of today, he's at 23.2. So he got another 100,000 followers or listeners in the last 3 days. So as of this morning, that's what it reads. And I, you know, shameless plug here. I'm like, instead of subscribing to Spotify and David, go listen to my playlist. I know that Bizio had asked about my playlist at one point, and oh, Bizio, thank you so much. Speaking of Bizio, today's extra coffee is needed, or some tequila. No, the coffee will do. Thank you so much, Bizio, one of our #1 supporters here. Thank you so much, Miriam. But yeah, so you know, you guys go check it out. I added a couple of new songs. So yeah, this was, you know, because Bizio was always like, you should make a playlist. Boston from Stella Lefty is new, and so is this one, Hello, the Sun Is Up, Where Are You? For those that like EDM. It's like, this is my morning alarm song now. So you guys go check it out there. I don't have any followers over there yet, so instead of listening to David, if you're still here, give this a listen. And then I also wanted to bring attention to the band David from Apple Music and Spotify. There is going to be a protest by industry blackout sometime in May. So it's really interesting that the form asks like whether you're a songwriter or producer. It requires your phone number. It requires whether you're currently signed to a label. So this is legit. The two people that are organizing it is Industry Blackout and the 100%ers. A peaceful demonstration outside the offices of Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Music in Los Angeles. So they have this form that you can fill out. And then we also have the change.org petition, which is going on 10,000 signatures, you guys. It's really, really like, you know, making its way. So hold on. Yes, you can access it from the show page. Sorry about that. hold on one second. I don't know what happened. Okay, here we go. Let me share this. You can, yeah, go to the main screen, and then you can go to the show page, and if you scroll down, you can access it there, or you can go to the recess page and you can access it there. It's on Spotify. Okay, so okay, what else? Oh, I think that's it for the David. So we're gonna get into McKinnis versus Wilson, which is the Rebel Wilson case. McKinnis took the stand in the courtroom, got loud. This I only put on the show notes because we went over this on last week's episode, which was week 1. So I'm not going to go over week 1 with you guys. If you guys wanted to check out what happened week 1, it's there in the show notes. But we're going to get right into week 2, which was last week, and it was so spicy. Defense case all week. McKinnis did not return to the stand. Her case wrapped Friday, April 24th, and Wilson ended up sitting for the cross-examination by McKinnis barrister Sue Chrysanthou, which was, oh, she was so beautiful. Justice Elizabeth Raper presided over the hearing, and there was contested facts regarding the Bondi penthouse, the hot bath, the swimwear, and what was missing from the WhatsApp text. It all got aired out through Wilson's answers, not McKinney's. So the defense case opened, and the first day was kind of like them going over like what evidence was going to be coming in, what wasn't. Wilson took the stand Tuesday. She said it was absolute nonsense that she wasn't a champion for women, and Sue got her really quick because she's like, you're championing women and you're saying that you did this for her, for McKinney's, yet you are ruining her reputation by saying that she got pimped out. She denied directing PR team to create the smear websites about Amanda Ghost, which was pretty juicy. Chrysanthou puts to Wilson that she dumped her phone to avoid producing text messages, and Wilson said that's absolutely outrageous. She said, well, it wasn't backed up to any iCloud or anything, and I don't know why it wasn't fully backed up. I just don't have those messages. And it's so funny because she kept like saying that she had stuff, and then when she's like, Sue would be like, did you provide it? And she's like, no. And then she's like, well, is it still in your phone? She's like, maybe. But yet she never provided anything. And so she was just like slipping up saying she had stuff that she never turned in. And then obviously she didn't even have it. So there was some kind of spoliation type of stuff that seemed to be going on. Wilson's testimony approaches its end. Justice Elizabeth Raper reserved judgment as the trial winds towards the closing. So that was Friday. There was 2 other people who testified. One of them was her non-talent agent. He's like, I wasn't even her agent at the time. I was just helping another agent out. So he ended up getting all caught up because they brought up his emails. He basically said he didn't have them, and then they got them from somewhere else, and they brought the receipts. Sue did. Sue was on one. Like, she was like literally impeaching every single witness. It was just crazy. So ode to the badass barrister Sue Chrysanthou here. McKinnis Silk has been running cross-examination this week, and watching her work is its own television show. 4 days of structured pressure, phone wipes, Snapchat hacks, Bondi swims, methodical, surgical, devastating. It was crazy. So this is her right here. She was just a badass. So if you guys wanted to get the full trial, I embedded all of my tweets on the show page. So I was live tweeting it every day. Rebel Wilson is now testifying. Oh my God, bring the heat. Seriously, Blake Lively needs to be watching this and trying to settle, because the way Rebel is getting cross-examined is insane. They're staying on her neck, and I just keep thinking about Blake and the PGA and Taylor text, because I'm like, oh my God, is this what's going to be like for Blake when they catch her up in all these lies? I'm like, y'all are missing out if you're not watching it. She's so spicy. This is what FKA Twigs entered the chat. Basically, she wanted FKA Twigs messages to come in, but FKA Twigs was not there to testify, and Rebel said that it was because she was a Warner artist and couldn't testify. Because she was adjacent to billionaire Len Blavatnik, who Rebel was alleging that is funding this litigation, which is so funny because she kept like making all these allegations about how like it's team Russian billionaire oligarch. But it was just so funny because she was like, Amanda Ghost and Camille Vasquez came in his private jet, and then literally 2 days later, Sue Chrysanthou got the receipts and showed Amanda Ghost's passport stamped, and like they all flew commercial, so it wasn't real. And then not only did she impeach her on that part, but I guess she also said that Amanda Ghost was at a meeting that she couldn't have been in because she had her passport stamped that she was in Portugal at the time. So that was pretty juicy. Oh, this one I loved it, where she's like, you use these allegations that had already been resolved to get your way, didn't you? Because basically McKinnis said like, no, there was no problem. Like it was a medical emergency. I had to, start a bath for her, whatever, because she was having an allergic reaction to the cold water. But she was saying that was not true because she's like, she went swimming in it 3 days later. But I mean, just because she had one allergic reaction doesn't mean she's not going to go in the water anymore. I mean, I don't know. I found it believable. And if McKinnis said that nothing happened, then why was she still pushing it? It was because she wanted a bigger budget. She wanted credits, all this stuff. Allegedly, this is what was coming out with the evidence. And then the judge got like a little heated for a little bit because she's like, this is getting a little frustrating because you're bringing up all this Amanda Ghost stuff from the other trials. But then Sue clapped back and was like, no, I'm not. Like, this is just the stuff that's being brought up because she's bringing it up. And then Ari Emanuel entered the chat because she said that Rebel Wilson, basically Rebel text Ari for help with Amanda Ghost. And she said, Ghost is destroying people's lives. So I was like, is Ari the go-to guy to fix everything? And then it started giving me anxiety because Sue was so feisty. It was like getting yelled at when you're a little kid. And let me play this.
This is just a short time ago.
That's what it felt like when she was doing it. Like she was just yelling. So then it went into day 3. I was like, I'm glad that Sue Crisanthe clarified that she just meant Rebel because I always comment on celebrity fashion. Because at one point she was like, did you comment on McKinnis's outfit and call it a Surrey? And were you disparaging her? Because that, normal people don't do that. And I'm like, oh, well, I do. Like, I'll comment on celebrities' wardrobe. But then she later clarified, like she reworded the question and was like, no, I mean you specifically. Like, that was you disparaging McKinnis. She again brought Team Russian billionaire oligarch. And then she keeps talking about this theory that, Len Blatnick is funding this lawsuit and she, she's not having it. I was like, all of us watching the Rebel Wilson, that's what we needed coffee for. Grant me the caffeine to get through this day because it was so late. They went on till 2 a.m. And then she finally finished the cross. She then came back the next day when, she got off the stand and brought the passports, the receipts and everything. And then Dowd Siptane wanted these evidence, like these text messages to come in. And then Sue gets up and she's like, sure, go ahead. Though, if you bring them up, then I'm going to get to cross-examine her on those. And then he was like, oh, never mind. Like, let's just move along. Like, he didn't want to bring it up. So there's at one point she tried to say that her wife couldn't testify because she was pregnant. And I'm like, can she pull up Cassie? Because Cassie testified full on pregnant. And then again, she objected to FK Twig's test coming in because she's like, there's no authentication. She's not here to testify on them. It's triple hearsay. It's prejudicial. What else happened? Sue hit him with the reverse Uno because she's like, Dowd, Rebel Wilson's attorney, was like, I want to include this evidence or whatever. And she was like, fine, go ahead and include it because it has the same information as the smear websites. And then he was like, oh, never mind. I don't want to include it. So she kept, she got him. And then she provided the passports and all that stuff. And then I did do one like slight tweet with Charles Collier, which was the agent, when he was like, I was like, it was giving Mariah. I don't know her because he's like, actually, I just want to clarify. I wasn't her agent. I was helping out another agent. And that's how I ended up in this case. But anyways, if you guys wanted to read through all those, you guys can go to the show page or just go to my full feed over on X and just type in Rebel and they'll all come in the search. But this one was my favorite. This sums up the whole thing. Rebel Wilson as a first-time director, it was a nightmare situation. And then Sue goes, it's a nightmare situation you created through a series of lies. And I was like, me right now, damn, dude. I was like, she dropped the mic. So that's the end of that. The 5 elements that they have to prove is serious harm, imputation and defamatory meaning, defense of substantial truth, identification and publication, and malice. Serious harm was contested. She was saying, I didn't cause her harm because she still got to, do a play and she's, getting roles and stuff. Partially was confirmed the imputations and defamatory meaning. I mean, she brought tons of receipts on like how she was just on Instagram. I don't know how these lawyers just allow them to just post all this stuff, but defense of substantial truth. This is where the core battle was like, it's the same thing as Blake. Like, did she reasonably believe that it was the truth? Identification of the publication, that was already met. So that's a win for McKinnis there. And then the malice, that's still under review, whether she did it out of malice. So you guys can go read all about it in the full Wilson docket. And then this is where it gets, I found the actual docket. So I'm going to go show you guys. You guys can click there. Look, this is all of the documents. So if you go down here, this is May 1st. Look, bundle of communications between Miss Simpkin and Miss Wilson. 2 letters in November. Let's see if there's anything juicy here. Text exchange, email exchange between Mr. Collier. Let's just pull this one up because he was one of the witnesses. I made a response to Danny this evening. Like, it's just all the tea, you guys. Like, it's already a long show, so I can't go into it. But y'all, we hit the jackpot with me finding this because it's got everything, all of it. Statement of agreed facts, affidavits from everybody, what they wrote down. Here's Charlotte's affidavit, Amanda Ghost. I was hoping there was some like juicier ones, like the FK Twigs texts and stuff. Miss McKinney's post on TikTok. Anyways, y'all, we hit the jackpot with this. So if you guys go to the show notes all the way down, you guys will find it. I know DFJ was wondering the other day, she was trying to pull up a David video. If you guys go to the tab that says All Rise at the very top, that's all the show stuff. It's All Rise. It's at the very top of Celebrity Dockets. And then there you'll see all the show notes. And then when you click on the show notes for that episode, you'll see the whole episode. And that's where you can find all the videos and everything on the show. And then we also have our case page, so you guys can also find it there. If you scroll all the way down, you'll see the adjacent docket, parallel lawsuits here. You can watch the trial live there when it was live, and here's the full online docket. And then you can go to the LA Superior Court one. That one you have to go and search by the number. You can't just click it. But yeah, that was a really good find. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Oh, and let me hide that comment. Good morning, everybody who's just coming in. Yes, the link, like I said, is if you go to celebritydockets.com, go under show notes. It's probably the first thing right when you see it pop up. You'll see show notes for today's episode, and then just scroll all the way down to the Rebel stuff. And I haven't looked at any comments. So I don't have anything to pull up with comments, but yeah, Marie says that Collier dude was weird. He answered really well, but Sue still got him. I was like, got him. At the end, when she brought up the email, she's like, let me refresh your memory. Yes, Marie says Sue is a masterclass. Of course she is. Oh, maybe people are listening to his songs for clues, Miley says. Yeah, I think that's what it is. A lot of people are listening to it to see what kind of stuff he was writing about. Yeah, DFJ says she put it in chat 2 times. Sorry, it's like I think the chat is behind. So sorry about that, DFJ. I didn't realize that you were putting it in the chat. I think it's a little bit behind, but I appreciate that. But that's where you guys can go. Okay. Let's continue. Let me share this again. So this is what's next. This week is going to be the closing submissions where, Rebel's lawyer and Charlotte's lawyer are delivering the final closing arguments, their last chance to summarize, and then the judgment is reserved. So the Justice Elizabeth Raper can take anywhere from weeks to months. Like, we're just going to be waiting like we are on like Diddy and Drake and all that stuff. We'll be waiting. So expect silence from the court after that. So this is all she wrote. I mean, obviously you guys can check the docket and see like if any other tea drops, more evidence that they submit and stuff. But let's look into the court fashion of it all. Remember when Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni wore the greens and the pinks? And we're like, oh, twinsies, and like everybody had their theories. Apparently that is the color and the palette of the trial, because check this out. She had a little green jacket. Amanda Ghost had the olive. And then she wore the blush pink twice. Rebel did. I don't have the other picture, but she wore the blush pink twice. And then the other color that made an appearance was the navy and the white. This was her 3rd day of testimony, which I thought was her best look. Like this one I felt like was like kind of frumpy for her, but I did like the ponytail. Ponytail was really cute, especially when the camera was like on the stand. She looked like very poised and everything. The green jacket was okay. It actually looked darker in the courthouse. But this is my favorite look of hers. I thought it looked really like, professional, and she seemed more like believable than in this. This she just looked frumpy. I'm like, Sue might get me. I shouldn't talk about the fashion. But then here is Charlotte McKinnis. She also did the Navy. And then I feel like Amanda Ghost gets all the flowers because look at this outfit here. Like, I mean, come on. Like, this is so cute. I love this. The Navy and then like the matching blouse. It was giving. And then here she just had the white with the Navy beads and stuff. And she had some kind of like reddish, kind of blushish pink as well, pants with the matching purse. So yeah, you guys can go to Courtroom Culture over on, or Courtroom Couture. It's on the Courtroom Culture tab, and at the bottom we have all the fashion stuff. And so here we're gonna get down to the very last end of the show, the docket rundown. Teacups in hand, Britney returned to Instagram late last night, and what was she trying to tell us? Happy Sunday, and she put a bunch of teacups. So we're about to spill all the tea. We're gonna go a quick run as we finish out the show with the docket rundown and our surprise video from DFJ, which if you guys have gone over to our channel, it's not a surprise, but our parody ending that we're going to do. So we're going to start with Britney Spears. Here's the rundown. Britney, Kim K, Kanye, Stefon Diggs, Spencer, Kylie, and 50 Cent. We're going to do a quick rundown of everybody. In California v. Spears, it seems like in about an hour, or it might have already started, she's having her DUI trial arraignment this morning. She didn't have to attend, and it's a wet one because it appears that they're calling it wet reckless, which wet reckless means it's alcohol and not drug related. So they didn't probably get her for apparently there was something going around that there might have been drugs in the vehicle. Obviously that wasn't it. It's a wet reckless charge. And what it means is that alcohol was involved. And the likely outcome for her is probably going to be probation and not jail. The DA's office, and this is all coming from @Gulia, you guys. I love her page. Let me show her X page. @Gulia, it's grave concerns over on X. She emails them and gets all the paperwork and everything. So everything on the docket for the Britney case, or if you want to follow the Britney case, follow @Gulia over on X because she's got all the tea. She literally emails back and forth with LA, and they're like, they're the ones who basically replied and said that, basically saying that they might be giving her this offer. It's reserved for defendants with no DUI history, low blood alcohol level, and she clears all four. So she did go into voluntary rehab already. So she'll probably get probation, DUI, school, and a fine. And in the meantime, her rep says this was an unfortunate incident that is completely inexcusable. Britney's going to take the right steps and comply with the law, and hopefully this can be the first step in long overdue change that needs to occur in Britney's life. Hopefully she can get the help and support that she needs during this difficult time. And here she is back in the public. She got papped. So she's out of rehab and everything. So yeah, we're wishing Britney the best. Hopefully, she gets back healthy and she's making videos. That video that she posted was from a long time ago when she was in Mexico, but obviously she's posting on Instagram. And I know people make fun of her dancing videos, but if she had choreography and outfits and everything, it's the same dances that she's been dancing. It's just now she's doing them in front of the camera in her living room, so it looks weird. But I don't know. I like her dance videos. A lot of people think they're unhinged. I just feel like she doesn't have the proper costuming or backup dancers. In Kardashian versus Ray J, and I'm not going to read the slides here because I'm just trying to get through it. So if you guys want to get more deep into the slides, you guys can go to the show notes. Basically, Kim and Chris will be in court while Ray J has to go to arbitration. So you guys remember that Kim is suing Ray J for defamation, and then he countersued them for basically they had this NDA where they weren't going to talk about the sex tape, and they did put it on their Hulu show, and they were paying him to not talk about it. And he's basically saying they broke the contract, and they still owe him money. But that case is going into private arbitration, and I wonder why, because they probably don't want anybody to get into it. In a way, it's good for the kids because the kids shouldn't be knowing about the sex tape and all that stuff. It's already out there, but I feel like in a way it's good. Being nosy, we won't get to see it, but we'll get to see the other half of the case, which is the defamation part, and maybe some stuff will come out there. That is going to be March 6th, 2028. So 2 years we got for that. And then February 9th, 2027, next year will be the arbitration status conference. So we're not going to be hearing much unless discovery stuff comes out. So keep an eye on that docket. So yeah, then we have today, the criminal case against Stefon Diggs is this morning. If you guys wanted to follow that case, come with the facts over on X is who to follow. Also, Document Things over on X is also following this one. But we'll keep the docket updated. It's strangulation and suffocation allegedly from one of his chefs, a female chef. So it is criminal, and I'm like sat for this one because I'm like, what? Like, he's got 3 lawsuits. I think 2 civil ones and then this one. So he's also, him and Kanye are going bar for bar, I guess. And if you guys don't know, he is a football player that plays for the Patriots, and he's also Cardi B's baby daddy. So that's what interests me because I'm like, I know they're not together anymore. I guess they broke up during the Super Bowl or whatever because he had another one of his baby mamas there that had better seats than her or something. And they broke up, something like that. But anyways, that's all the tea on Stefon Diggs. We also have Kanye, who is collecting his next lawsuit. He was just sued over a Chateau Marmont punch. He got punched coming out, or a man got punched coming out of the Chateau Marmont, and he is just filed a civil complaint. I'm trying to get a hold of that complaint right now. I don't have it. I just have the New York Post reporting on it. As soon as I do, I will put it on the docket. But he also has active employment lawsuits from, when he was having his manic bipolar episodes as well. So we'll see how those play out. I think one of them has SH involved, and then also just derogatory comments. We're going to see whether the plaintiff also seeks a restraining order alongside damages and which counsel he will retain for this assault claim, because he has several different, Rob Zambrano was up against him in a case, one of his employment cases that just finished. And if you guys don't know who Rob Zambrano is, he's from Popcorn Planet. It's a lawyer that gets featured over there. I was like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like, I know him. When I saw, because that was also a sketch artist, and maybe I'll get those and I'll put them up on the site because I love how they depicted Rob. I'm like, it really looks like him, because there was no cameras allowed in the courtroom. But Rob did secure the bag for this guy who basically spent hours redoing his mansion and not getting paid. It wasn't as much as he wanted to get paid, but he still got some money. And I don't know how much of that has been collected. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. We also have Spencer Pratt, who's firing up his suit. Who has the fire suit as well as his mayoral race. So he's suing the city of LA. And like I said, he's backed by Jeannie Buss, Joe Rogan, Audrina Partridge. And I love his campaigns. Like downtown LA under Karen Bass, downtown LA under Spencer Pratt. Like he's using the whole Warhol effect too. So go Spencer. And then falling up instead of falling down. I love this. Like he just is all like about memes and stuff. It's like, it's so refreshing to see, I guess, because you don't really see like much of this in politics. The Adventures of an Ordinary Man at War with the Everyday World, and it's Spencer as the falling down guy. If you guys have never seen this movie, it's like a guy who just has it and just goes ballistic. And I'm not going to play the video because it's long and we're just trying to wrap up here. But if you guys wanted to check out, it's called The Freight Train of Justice. He posted to Facebook where he basically said he had to wait a whole year to get to discovery because they had filed a stay, and like now all the receipts are going to come out. So you guys can check out the show notes and play that. Kylie Jenner has been sued twice. So just as I found the lawsuit for the first one, I do have that thanks to Document Things, who is so amazing. I still have to upload all of her Kim Kardashian stuff that we went over on our show. Remember, the only reason why we got to see everything was because she had all the documents for that case for Kim and Ray J. So I still have to upload that to the docket. But she had Kylie's in the first one. So I'm going to have to check to see if the second one is there. Another housekeeper has sued. Obviously, Kylie wasn't the one directly doing any of this stuff. So it's not like Stefon Diggs where they're like saying like Stefon Diggs was, doing this. This is an employment lawsuit towards the person. But she's just named in it because they were doing housekeeping for her house. So she's named as a defendant, but apparently it was like supervisors and things like that that were bullying like people who were under them. These other housekeepers or whatever. So it seems like it's the management company that ran the housekeeping business, and then Kylie. And so, yeah, so that one's interesting as well. Because apparently the first one, it talks something about how she had to go do free cleaning at Timothy Chalamet's house or something. So anyways, it's an interesting docket. You guys can go and click on the Jenner docket. Oops. And then we have, what happened there? Okay, hold on. I don't know what happened. Okay, here we go. Then we have, last but not least, this is the most recent one that just dropped Fridays. It's 50 Cent against his ex-assistant, Mayers. So I still have not pulled the entire docket. I have the court listener through Pacer, but it hasn't been bought yet. So I don't have the I don't mean the docket. I still haven't pulled a full brief. So I'm waiting for someone because it's the court listener does the recap. So if someone buys it on Pacer, if it's not bought within the next 2 days or so, and if somebody's showing interest, then I'll go ahead and buy it. But for now, I'm just waiting because court listener usually gets it as soon as someone buys it from Pacer, if they have the recap link, to share it with court listeners. So this one's interesting because it's also like some kind of like employment thing as well. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that one. We added him. So now instead of tracking 33 cases, we're tracking 34. And then this one was Drake explaining media strategy, which I thought was really interesting because he was attached to a recent Spotify lawsuit that just got dismissed. And I did want to play this really quick because it was interesting what he had to say about media. Hold on, because there's no sound. So let me go back, remove it, and then we'll add it back on. Here we go.
Phone calls, like media phone calls, deciding what stance so-and-so is going to take within the first hour or within the first 3 hours or within the first 12 hours so that this person doesn't overlap with person. Well, I'm going to say that I hate the album. I don't know what it's going to bring yet, but I'm going to take this stance. Or literally it's about like I hate to say first responders. That sounds terrible. Shout out to the first responders. We're not talking about all you lovely people. We're talking about first responders in media and in comments. But my advice to you is the fastest comments and the ones that are meant to sit at the top with the most replies. It's a purposeful action, and it's not the genuine reaction to how people feel about you.
So you guys know that he's also repped by Michael Gottlieb. And so it's this whole theory of like smearing campaigns and all this stuff. And like my theory, this is personally with the smear, and I don't cover the whole smear campaign website thing because it's not interesting to me, but I know there's other people who do cover it very well as well. The Stephanie Jones stuff, like I don't know if I'm going to add Stephanie Jones, the PR case, to the industry tab where I had the Spotify one and all that. I'm still thinking about it because like for me, yeah, it might get a little spicy, but like it just doesn't interest me as much. But I might add it. So you guys can leave in the comments if you guys want me to, still pursue and follow Stephanie Jones and all the PR stuff. But for me, I think it's like, okay, so if this is happening in the media, if what he's saying is true or whatever, was what Jed Wallace and them did allegedly, or, there's no proof that they have done anything with websites or anything, but are these websites, because The Rock caught a stray recently, right? That it got uncovered in this Great Unsealing 2, where it was that The Rock was the person who had requested the Stephanie Jones site, which I thought was pretty funny because the same day they report that he got pulled over coming back from Emily Blunt's Hollywood Walk of Fame thing. And I'm like, I wonder if it was just so like people didn't talk about the and obviously Abe is the one that's like really good because I be saying everything is SEO and it's not always SEO. So, but I thought it was interesting that he randomly gets papped being pulled over by a cop. And I was like, okay, that's weird. But anyways, I wonder if it's a response to like MSM. Like, how do you battle these big, like People Magazine and all this stuff? It's like, if you're just like a peon that's like, you just want to like say something. And, a lot of us have been, I mean, they're not smear websites, but docket websites, right? Like this is like keeping you informed or whatever. Like I understand that some of these other ones may have, not truthfulness to it, like Amanda Ghost, which obviously seems like a lot of that stuff was not all the way true. It seems to be coming out on the Rebel trial, and we're yet to know because obviously we'll know more when Camille flexes on Ghost versus Wilson, whether it was these allegations had legs or not or whatever. But anyways, that's just my theory. I try to stay away from all the smear campaign, but I wonder how much of it is in response to like the people wanting to like fight the MSM misinformation with like, hey, this is what happened to me or whatever. And I get how it can go like crazy rogue with, websites and like, when do people smear each other and all that stuff. But I did find this compelling that Drake did. I flip-flop in Drake versus UMG. Sometimes I'm like UMG side, sometimes I'm Drake side. Currently I'm on Drake side because he's dropping Iceman and I don't know, halo effect on the artist and his music. But Yeah, supposedly he's supposed to be over and he's about to drop like the album of the year here. So we'll see if he makes the CJ's heavy rotation or not. Shout out to Drake, but he scored a win because he was named in this Spotify case. It was a class action lawsuit, Capolongo versus Spotify. It's in docket, celebrity dockets at the very bottom under industry related. I included this one because the Texas Attorney General had opened up a payola probe about whether or not Spotify was, boosting streams and things like this. But it seems like it was just dismissed. So you guys can go to the page here, Capolongo versus Spotify. It gives you a timeline of the case when the Texas Attorney General launched, and then how sticky it got gave us the document, which is here. You see the Texas AG probe announcement, the Hollywood Reporter, Rolling Stone complaint coverage. But yeah, they provided the document here. Let me pull it up. Here's the update. November 20, and it was OVO docket as well. 2025 class action lawsuit accusing Spotify of a pay-for-play scheme to inflate Drake's streaming numbers has been dismissed with prejudice. No discovery occurred and none of the allegations were proven true. A federal judge ruled that the plaintiff signed an enforceable arbitration agreement with Spotify that waives the right to sue and requires the dispute to be resolved through arbitration. This is a legal win for Spotify and also for Drake. So I thought that was an interesting little way to end that whole docket run. And when court takes a recess, so we got to the end of the show in our recess time. So you guys, these are all the tabs when you go to Celebrity Dockets. You have the cases, the latest news. I have, the very latest, as well as like X posts from citizens. All Rise is where all the show stuff is. And then we have recess. This is where all the fun stuff is. Star Bar is all the attorneys. Courtroom Culture is where you get the sketches and the fun stuff that's not on the docket, like the fashion and all that. And then About Us. And then you can also feel the docket there at the end. But so for recess this time, I do have, let me scroll all the way down. The latest movies, May 2026, now playing. So I do have a list provided by Eric Davis that has all the major releases for the next 2 years, all the way through 2028. A lot of these came from CinemaCon, sorry. Which I also have linked down here. I believe I still have it. Yeah, there it is. This is 2 great videos from Tina that she covered all the movies, like what was presented. She covers like, what they were about and all that stuff. But these were 3 that are coming up in May. And we'll go through the May stuff real quick. But Mortal Kombat 2 is one I'm looking forward to. The Mandalorian and Grogu. May the 4th be with y'all. And then Michael, which was premiered in April, but it's still playing. I saw The Tilted Lawyer just did a review on Michael. A lot of people are really enjoying it. But as far as others on the list for May, you have them here. All the ones. I know a lot of people are saying Devil Wears Prada, but I'm boycotting it because of Emily Blunt and Stanley Tucci showing up with Blake. Obviously, like Halo effect. And I never liked the first one really. Like I was like, okay, I guess. It was a cool little movie, but I don't know. I'm not really like that into the sequels and like trying to bring back like that one. But a lot of people enjoyed it. Tina said it was like one of her top movies for this year. And she has, she watches movies. She has a whole movie, the Movie Lair, whole movie channel. Hokum, I saw good things. It's a horror movie that they're saying it's like really good. It's from the guy, I forget what his name is, but he's the main actor from Severance. Mortal Kombat obviously is the one I'm looking most forward to. And then the other ones I'm looking forward to is I Love Boosters. It's with Keke Palmer. It looks really, really good. And then Backrooms, which is based off of a creepypasta. And I have like the summary also on recess. But those are the ones that I'm looking forward to. So you guys can leave in the comments when the video ends, which ones you guys are looking forward to. And then you guys have like a place where now you see what date everything releases if you guys are movie buffs like me, because it's a big long list. Okay, so now we are actually finishing the show, y'all. What's the next lawsuit? And I'm gonna bring up one of these comments that I starred because it's perfect here. It says, is it just me or is the amount of cases popping up with celebrities out of control? Yes, because Diddy docket, which is one of my favorite dockets too. I want to feature them here soon as well. Because there's been some movement on some of the Diddy civil stuff. I just link everything to them because it's hundreds of, like, I couldn't do it on my website. The only one that I have on Celebrity Dockets is his lawsuit against News Nation. And then the main one, you know, obviously he's trying to appeal with Alexander Shapiro. Everything else, Diddy Dockets is on the side. And, you know, you guys can go to diddydockets.com and check out all the civil ones. But so they said, this is the music industry in 2026, because we do have a lot of musicians on Celebrity Dockets. Says, instead of when does your next album drop, when's your next release? The golden era. Now it's the legal era. When's your next lawsuit dropping? Complaint, injunction, settlement. So I thought that was cheeky to end it off with. Thank you so much to all of our supporters. We are still going 58 strong. On our last stream, we named all of you. Miriam was so nice to support me today. I truly appreciate it, because you guys were the ones who made the rebrand happen. I'm able to have better production for the show. I have this website. I can now, it helps me build the show. Someone's like, how do you keep up with all that? Like, you're doing all this yourself, whatever. I'm like, well, because it's so much easier than when I had to put together the shows, because I would have to go back into my YouTube videos, find the docket number. And then when I would tell you guys, like, oh, go watch the last Angelina video, the docket's in the description. And now it's like all there. So what I do is I just go to the docket, see if anything has popped up. And yeah, so thank you to everyone who fuels the mission, every show, every filing, every late night docket dive. You make this possible, and we appreciate you. So the featured coffee is Starbucks. I'm not sponsored by them yet, but I'm like hoping that some coffee brands can sponsor me on the website eventually. Right now, my favorite is what I'm drinking. I'm not drinking gas station coffee because Miriam's coffee fund has been fueling me. So I get to get these big tall cans, which I call my healthy coffee, because it's got ginseng and B vitamins. I don't know if it's healthy. It's probably a ton of sugar, but my favorite out of them is the vanilla flavor, because I feel like these ones are too dark. Like the caramel one's too sweet. The mocha one is like too dark for me, but I love the vanilla. That's what I had today. So your support fuels the mission, and we appreciate you. And you guys can go ahead, if you have a phone, if you're watching on the TV, which I have a lot of viewers who watch me on the TV, you can scan the barcode and support me that way. Thanks again to Miriam. Also on the docket website, you can go and support. And I wanted to pull up Miley. She says, CJ, this is so good. You've done so much work. So if you guys found value in it, please go support the channel. It'll help the production, you know, get better and fuel me up so I can get through all these. Oh, that one we already did. Bizio says, amazing. Love the website. So thank you so much for funding that. That was appreciative. And yeah, we're going to end up with DFJ. She's still here. Russian goodbye. It is. DFJ, I'm finally ending it, okay? My poor mod is like, are y'all done yet? Yeah, Bizio says, I love you and your amazing work. Shout out to your amazing mods. Yes, DFJ and Laura, who had to leave. We're going to end with DFJ's video, which I absolutely love. The unliftable, the impeachable. We're going to trial. So we started with Parody and we're ending with Parody. This is a DFJ song. Please go give it a like. Hype it up. I love her Suno songs. They're so, so good. This one, I got to see the beginning of it, which was, it featured Ozzy. If you guys go watch her channel, she's got this little cat, Ozzy. And it was a totally different song, and then it became this. So I got to see the evolution of this and how she works and makes her videos. So this is a lyric video. I appreciate every single eyeball that's here. Guys, we still ended up with 60 people at the very end. Carm is barely getting here. You're late, Carm. You're late. We're leaving. No Russian goodbye. But yeah, everybody who stuck around, I think at one point we had 200 viewers for the Blake stuff. And I know that most people are more interested in the Blake stuff anyhow, but it was a long stream. So for everyone who stayed from beginning to end, I see CM Baby, who's a member, who is still here. Any of the members that I missed, I'll make sure that we shout you out on the next episode. Obviously, we had a ton of people and it was a long show to get through, but thank you guys so much. We will see you guys on the next one. And yeah, I'll be on X all week long, or check out the docket. And you guys can find me there. See y'all.
The unliftable, the impeachable, you lied. Your 19 lawyers tried, but 10 claims denied, only 3 survived. The dailies, you lied. The dancing, you lied. Your evidence has the other side. Your depot, you lied. The New York Times, you lied. That $1 million quote is such a joke. We all know that was you and Ryrie to take this to trial. How Delulu to subpoena 100 people who just don't like you. You spooked the cruise. they dropped your booze all because of you. Your interviews, the tone deaf things you choose. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most guilty of them all? We are going to trial. A jury lives in reality. They won't be impressed with the vanity and entitlement. They know harassment and will see right through the delulu. Oh, and that PGA letter though. The unliftable, the impeachable. You lied, you lied. Your 19 lawyers tried, but 10 claims denied. Only 3 survived. Oh.
Hey, Plantation, Khaleesi, winter is coming.